Either I can go for ITC balance unutilized, I can claim refund of that, and or in the second option I can pay IGST. Okay, I will repeat once again, because there are a lot of student uh, who were not in the session in the beginning. They basically joined late, so I am again repeating. We are basically discussing GST refund, and for GST refund, first we have to understand what is the meaning of zero rated supply, or I can say what are the options for the exporter. So for the exporter we have basically two options. Either the exporter can say that I don't want to pay any tax on the sale, so I will just furnish the bond. And you know why I am furnishing the bond or LUT? I am furnishing the bond or LUT because right now I am selling the goods. My export is not completed because the goods doesn't crosses the custom barrier of India. So right now the goods may be in the custom warehouse, maybe they are anywhere in the anywhere in India only. So right now the export doesn't completed, and that's why I will furnish the bond, LUT, and on the basis of that bond and LUT, I will not pay any GST on the sale. Now the question arises is, sir, what about the credit which is in my account? The ITC I had in my account, I can easily claim refund of that amount. I can easily claim refund of the unutilized balance of ITC when I am exporting under bond without payment of tax. Okay. Now what about export with payment of tax? If I am opting for export with payment of tax, then in that case what I will do is, at the time of purchase I will claim the ITC. At the time of sale I will pay the whole amount of IGST. Later I can claim refund of the total amount of IGST paid, that is 27,000. So when I was paying the IGST, I utilized my complete credit. So there is no question of any unutilized credit in the second case. So these are the two options for exporter. Where this ITC refund go? Actually, ITC refund is basically cash refund. It will be credited in my bank account. Sir, whether IGST should be reflected in the tax invoice in the IGST refund route 16? Of course, yes. If we are going for option number 2 now, we have to furnish all the invoices in our GSTR return. When we will be furnishing our GSTR return, I have to upload it. I have to basically file all the information about export invoices. So with that, I can easily claim IGST refund later. Okay, what is the time limit of refund? That we will discuss later. For any kind of refund, there is a specified time limit. I will discuss what is the time limit for refund. That will be covered in section 54. Basically, what I am starting with the details how I can claim the refund in case of export. Yes. What if the goods are in the warehouse for export but not yet exported? Can the refund be claimed? Actually, a person can claim refund only after completion of the export. So it can claim refund only when the goods crosses the custom barrier of India. That's why they are asking for the bond. In the second case, they are asking for the refund only when my exports gets completed. Export gets completed. Okay. Any other doubt? Okay, so now we can move on towards our refund topic, but there is one important point. Listen very carefully. In export completed means actually it is according to the Customs Act. Any export will complete when the goods crosses the territorial water of India. Yeah, when the goods crosses the territorial water of India, I can say my exports are actually completed. In case of services, export completes with the receipt of the foreign exchange. So I have to show the proof of receipt of foreign exchange in case of services. In case of goods, I should have an export order. When the goods crosses the custom barrier, then only it will be treated as that export is actually completed. Okay. Now listen very carefully. In GST refunds, there is always a doctrine applied, and that is called doctrine of unjust enrichment. Anybody knows about this doctrine of unjust enrichment? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of doctrine of unjust enrichment? Can anybody explain me what is the meaning of doctrine of unjust enrichment? Yes. Okay, yeah. in the simple meaning, the doctrine of unjust enrichment means you cannot get benefit on loss of any other person. Okay, so in this indirect taxes, doctrine of unjust enrichment applied in such a manner that they will presume that it's an indirect tax. So if you paid the tax to the government, we will assume that the incidence or the burden is already passed on to the customer. So doctrine of unjust enrichment says that in the indirect taxes, there is always a presumption. What is the presumption? That the burden has been passed on to the customer. So they will not allow you any refund if you are not able to prove that I have not passed on the incidence to the customer. I have not passed on the incidence or the burden of the tax to the customer. So what is this? How the principle applied in GST refunds? Whenever I will be claiming GST refund, they will always ask me to prove the documents, to get a proof. They will ask us to get a proof that I have not passed on or I have not shifted my burden of tax to my customer, because it's an indirect tax. If you paid any extra tax, of course they will presume that that tax has already been collected from the customer. So you have to prove that I have not collected that tax from the customer, and that is required in this case. We have to prove that we are not breaching the doctrine of unjust enrichment. We have not passed on the burden to the customer. Okay, but now important thing is, in GST refunds, doctrine of unjust enrichment proof, that like I have to prove that I have not passed on the burden to the customer, is not required in all the cases. I will divide all the cases into two parts. There will be some cases where you will get the refund only if you are able to prove that I have not passed on the burden to the customer. There will be some cases where the department will presume that you have not passed on the burden and you are not required to prove doctrine of unjust enrichment. So some cases doctrine of unjust enrichment proof is required. In some cases there is no requirement of proof that you have passed on the burden to the customer. They will presume that you have not passed on the burden, but in all the other cases they will require the proof that you have not passed on the incidence to the customer. So now we have to understand what are the cases where doctrine of unjust enrichment is required to be proved. What are the cases where there is no requirement to provide any document to prove that I have not passed on the burden to the customer. They might ask you this question in MCQ pattern questions, that in this particular case whether doctrine of unjust enrichment proof is required or not, or whether we have to we have to provide the proof that I have not passed on the burden of tax to the customer. There are some cases where it is required to prove. There are other cases where it is not required to prove. So now we have to go for the section, and for refund of tax, our section is section number 54. I am again repeating you. You can download these notes from the link I have already shared yesterday, as well as I have shared the link of these notes in the chat box. Okay, so in that link you can go to the folder and you can download the notes for exports and refunds. We are basically referring these notes here. I have already shared the link. I am again sharing the link. Okay, you can download this folder, and in that folder you will find it for PDF named refund and exports and refund. Yeah, so download that document. In that you will find out all these cases. Okay, now listen carefully. GST refund actually is governed by section 54 of CGST Act. GST refund is actually governed by section 54 of CGST Act. So there are a lot of cases where we can ask for GST refund. Some cases unjust enrichment I have to prove. Some cases I don't have to prove unjust enrichment. So first of all, first case where I can claim refund is export of goods and services. You can see this is the first case, export of goods or services. Interesting thing, there is no requirement of unjust enrichment. There is no requirement of unjust enrichment. In case of export, they will not presume that you have charged that tax from the customer, because it's an export invoice. So they will always assume that you didn't charge any tax from the customer. So in case of export, there is no requirement to prove that the burden of tax has been passed on. So export of goods or services, no requirement to prove unjust enrichment. Same with supply to SEZ or developers. Again, I can claim refund in case of export as well as supplies to SEZ. So in case of supplies to SEZ as well, there is no requirement to prove unjust enrichment. I can also claim refund when I am supplying the goods to SEZ. I can claim the refund of the ITC. Now there is one more refund, and that refund is called deemed export. Can anybody tell me the difference between, if actually the font size is little bit small, and that's why I am asking you to download the notes, because from there you can easily refer and you can easily read all the points. I am actually zooming in. So listen, the third point. Now tell me, what is the meaning of deemed export? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of deemed export? Is it supplies to says? Actually supplies to says, actually supplies okay, supplies to SEZ, no. Supplies to SEZ is a zero rated supply. There is one more section, section 147 of CGST Act, that talks about the deemed export, and according to that section, supplies to EOU, STP, EHTP, or supplies to a person having an advance authorization, supply to a person holding EPCG certificate, that is basically deemed export. That is called deemed export. Supplies to EOU, supplies to EHTP, supply to STP, that is Software Technology Park, supply to the person having export authorization scheme, supplies to the person having EPCG, Export Promotion Capital Goods Scheme. That is called deemed export. That is called deemed export. That is covered in section 147. That is different from zero rated, because zero rated supply is covered by section 16, that only covered two cases, export and supplies to SEZ. Deemed export means I am supplying in India, but I am supplying to EOU, I am supplying to EHTP, STP, I am supplying to a person having export, having the certificate of EPCG, Export Promotion Capital Goods Scheme. A person having certificate of advance authorization, I am supplying to him. In that case, actually, we need a proof of doctrine of unjust enrichment. Yes, because you are not supplying outside India, you are not supplying to SEZ, you are supplying to a person in India having a having a certificate, holding a certificate. So maybe you will charge tax in the invoice, and that's why in case of deemed export, doctrine of unjust enrichment is required to be proved. You know why? Because GST Act allows seller to charge GST from the, in case of deemed export. For example, I can explain you. I am supplying to EOU. Okay, I can charge IGST or CGST, SGST when I am preparing the invoice from EOU. GST Act will allow even EOU can claim the refund of the tax paid. So if I charge the GST in my invoice and EOU is claiming the refund, how can I claim the refund? And that's why they are asking us to prove unjust enrichment. So we have to prove that the burden of tax has been passed on, and that in case of deemed export, but it is not, unjust enrichment is not required to be proved in case of export and supplies to SEZ, but in case of deemed export, we have to prove that burden of proof has been passed on or not. Unjust enrichment I have to prove in case of deemed export. Now, in case of export at MRP which is not under LUT, since the customer is paying MRP so as to calculate GST, whether we have to gross up the MRP or GST is to calculate. Okay, Gunjan, actually now we have to look at the case whether the MRP is inclusive of tax or exclusive of tax. If the MRP is exclusive of tax, then of course there is no GST calculated on the MRP. But if the MRP return is inclusive of tax, it means that MRP is inclusive. So what I will do is my MRP should be divided by 100 plus rate. But in that case, if I have charged the 100% MRP from the customer, I cannot ask for the refund, because in that case I am not able to prove the unjust enrichment. But normally this is not the case. Normally when I am exporting goods now, I will not charge MRP inclusive of tax. Never. Normally this doesn't happen that I will charge the MRP inclusive of tax. In case of export, I will always disclose the MRP exclusive of tax, because I know I can claim the 100% refund of the tax, so I will not charge from the customer. Okay. Next, casual taxable person or NRTP. Yeah, you should show MRP exclusive of tax. Yeah. Now, case number 4 is casual taxable person or NRTP. I have a question from all of you guys. Why they can claim the refund and for what amount? Why they can claim the refund and from what, for what amount? A casual taxable person or NRTP, why they can claim the refund of GST and why they are claiming the refund? Anybody? Okay, actually CTP or NRTP is required to pay advance tax. Yeah. So because of advance tax, there might be chance that after the expiry of registration, their liability will be less than the advance tax. And in that case, they can claim the excess refund if they have paid extra advance tax. So in that case, they can claim refund, and of course, they have to prove the unjust enrichment. They have to prove that they had not charged that amount of tax uh, uh, from the customer. Burden of proof is unjust enrichment is always on the applicant who is claiming the refund. They have to prove that the burden has not been transferred or incidence has not been passed on to the customer. So burden is always on the applicant. Okay. Next, refund of taxes purchase made by UN or embassies. You know that UN or embassies are called UIN holder. UIN holder. They have unique identification number, and they have an option to claim refund of the taxes paid on the purchases. Yeah, they can claim the refund. UN agencies and the foreign embassies has the option to claim the refund on the purchases, uh, and for that they have to file GSTR 11. So filing GSTR 11, they can claim for the refund on the purchases. For that, they are provided with a unique identification number called, they are called UIN holder. So they can also claim the refund. Okay. Here unjust enrichment is not required because UN embassies or UN agencies are basically exempt for their services. So it will be presumed that they have not passed on the burden because their services are completely exempt, and they are asking refund not for sale. They are asking refund for the purchases. So here unjust enrichment is not required to be proved. Okay. Next is when um, I am getting refund because of any court order. Court ordered something in my favor, and that's why the taxes which were paid earlier, now I can claim the refund of that taxes. So on the court order, I will be awarded with the refund, but again I have to prove the principle of unjust enrichment. I have to prove that I have not shifted the burden on the customer. So might be their company was fighting for a case for 10 years. So now company has to prove that in the last 10 years I have not charged any GST from the customer. The GST I paid earlier was from my own pocket. I didn't charge it from the customer. And if they are able to prove that, the court will award the refund to the company and they can claim the refund. So in case of court order as well, they can ask for the GST refund. This one is very interesting. Refund of accumulated ITC on the account of inverted duty structure. Anybody knows what is the meaning of inverted duty structure? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of inverted duty structure? Yeah, when rate of tax on input is higher than rate of tax on output. Yeah, my rate of tax on input might be 12% or 18%. Maybe on my output the rate of tax is only 5%. So what will happen is every time my ITC will be accumulated in my account and I am not able to fully utilize my credit. Each and every time, because of higher tax rate on input, it is not possible for me to 100% utilize my credit. And that's why there will always be accumulated balance of ITC in my ledger. In that case, I can claim the refund of the unutilized balance of ITC in my ledger, and that is called inverted duty structure. Inverted duty structure means my rate of tax on input is higher than the rate of tax on output, and because of that my credit is always unutilized. Yeah. Inverted duty structure not applicable on services, it is applicable on goods as well as services. So mostly it is applicable on goods because majority of the services are already in 18% GST. So there might be very less chance of any inverted duty structure in case of services. But the provision doesn't say that it is only applicable for goods. It may be applicable for services as well. But in the majority cases, it is actually executed in case of goods only. Because there are different rate of goods. Even some goods are covered under 5% as well. So purchase may be of 18%, 28%, 12%. Sale may be of 5%. Then in that case, I can claim the refund of the ITC accumulated in my account because of inverted duty structure. Okay. Another reason when I can claim the refund, again, in that case, I don't have to prove the unjust enrichment. I can I don't have to prove the unjust enrichment because I am not claiming the refund of the sale. I am claiming the refund on purchases. So in case when I am claiming the refund on the purchases, I don't have to prove the unjust enrichment because I am claiming the refund on purchases, not on the sale. So of course there is no requirement to prove unjust enrichment. Next one, finalization of provisional assessment. Finalization of provisional assessment. I paid the duty provisionally and now I am asking for refund because my provisional duty was higher than the actual tax paid. So in that case, I can ask for refund. But actually, I want to correct my mistake. Here, unjust enrichment is actually required. If I was provisionally assessed, I have to prove the unjust enrichment because there might be chance that I have charged provisional duty from the customer. So if I have already charged the provisional duty from the customer and my final duty is less, maybe I have already shifted on the burden and that's why I have to prove the unjust enrichment. So provisional assessment, unjust enrichment is required to be proved. I have to correct my mistake. It should be yes, not no. Next one is refund of pre-deposit. What is the meaning of pre-deposit? What do you mean by pre-deposit? Anybody know about the provisions of pre-deposit? And where it is given? Where are the provisions of pre-deposit in GST law? Anybody tell me about pre-deposit? Actually, it is for filing the appeal. Absolutely correct, Jayaprakash. Actually, pre-deposit is required for filing the appeal. When I am filing for appeal, I have to pay a certain amount, certain percentage of the disputed amount as a pre-deposit. It's just for the purpose of filing appeal. So if appeal goes in my favor later on, if the appeal goes in my favor, I will get the refund of pre-deposit as well. And now here it is not required to prove unjust enrichment because it's a pre-deposit amount. It was not a tax amount. It was a pre-deposit amount. So of course I have not shifted the burden on the customer. I don't have to prove the principle of unjust enrichment. Next one is, there is one more refund, excess payment due to mistake. My rate of GST applicable was 12, but by mistake I paid 18%. So of course I have paid the excess tax. I can claim the refund in this case. Again, there is requirement to prove unjust enrichment because in that case maybe it is possible that I have charged that excess tax from customer as well. I have charged that excess tax from customer as well, and therefore here I have to prove the unjust enrichment. Next reason where I can claim the GST refund is refund to international tourist for GST paid on goods in India and carried abroad at the time of their departure from India. Actually, in India, not in India, globally, there are a lot of countries who are giving GST refunds when the tourists are bringing goods abroad. So they can claim IGST refund for that. So when the tourists are bringing goods abroad, they can claim IGST refund. That refund is actually claimed at airport, at the departure airport. So for example, I am an international tourist and I am going from New Delhi. So there will be a GST refund counter at New Delhi airport. There I can show my goods, I can show my invoices. They will refund me the IGST. And of course, in this case, I don't have to prove the unjust enrichment because I am not selling the goods to the customer. I am bringing the goods abroad. So there is no requirement to prove unjust enrichment. Very nice. What is the next case where I can claim the refund? Refund voucher. Refund voucher is actually used when I have paid the taxes for advances. I have received the advance money and I have paid the taxes on that. Later, I have to refund that advance. So, in that case, I will issue the refund voucher. So, my sale got cancelled. I have already paid taxes on the advance. To mitigate that, I have to issue a refund voucher, and in that case, I can claim the refund from the government of the excess taxes paid. So if I have my advance got cancelled, my sale got cancelled, and I have to refund my advance amount, the government will refund me the excess tax paid. And again, there was no sale. The sale doesn't happen. So there is no customer to pass on the burden, and therefore no requirement of any unjust enrichment. Next one is refund of CGST, SGST paid by treating intra or inter. Actually, maybe that is possible. Uh, for any reason, I filed a return for, I paid the tax for intra, and later on I find out that my supply was not intra, my supply was interstate. So I paid CGST and SGST, and later on I find out that I should pay IGST. So what I will do, I will claim refund of CGST, SGST, and will pay IGST. So in that case, I have to claim refund for CGST or SGST. Again, there is a opposite vice versa case as well. I have to pay CGST, SGST, but wrongfully I paid IGST. So in that case also, I can claim refund. Again, unjust enrichment is not required because I just paid the different amount of tax. Wrong nature of tax. The tax, I am not, actually I am not claiming the refund. I have paid the amount in wrong head. So I am claiming the refund for paying in the right head. So there is no requirement to prove unjust enrichment in this case. Very nice. Next is refund of ITC. I have already told you that if I am exporting something under LUT or bond, I will be left with a huge amount of ITC balance. I can refund that ITC. I can claim refund for that ITC. Again, in this case, principle of unjust enrichment is not required. And finally, yeah, so these are the cases. Refund of ITC shall be not if the exporter out of India is subject to. There is one more thing. Uh, if any goods I am exporting is subject to export duty, or I have claimed drawback on that, I cannot claim refund of IGST in that case. If I have claimed drawback or my goods are subject to export duty, I am not allowed for any export incentive. So I will not get ITC refund, I will not get IGST refund under section 16. Section 16 refund will not be applicable if my goods are subject to export duty. That is given in the last point. What is given? However, refund of ITC shall not be allowed if the goods exported of India are subject to export duty, or the supplier of the goods are availing the drawback. Then in that case, you are not allowed any refund of unutilized ITC. So there will be no refund of unutilized ITC if the goods are subject to export duty or you are claiming drawback on that goods. Then you cannot claim refund because you cannot claim same amount twice. Once you are claiming the drawback and once again you are claiming the unutilized balance of ITC, that is wrong. So either drawback or unutilized balance of ITC refund, both are not parallelly allowed. Okay. And if the goods are subject to export duty, government does not want to promote such goods, and that's why they will not allow any refund of unutilized ITC in that case. So these are the cases when a person can claim refund, and with this I also covered where principal unjust enrichment is required, where principle of unjust enrichment is not required. Tell me, is there any doubt regarding this case? Otherwise we are moving towards the next provision of refund. Please share the link of material of other topics if you have for last 3 days. Actually, I was teaching only for last 1 day. So I will share the notes only and only for GST. I have already shared the link in the chat box. Okay. So enough about the notes. Can we focus on the what is going in the session right now? Very nice. So now I think everybody is familiar with this concept that when I can claim the refund, and where I have to prove the unjust enrichment, where I don't have to prove the unjust enrichment. Okay. Now what is the second important thing? Sir, what is the time limit for claiming refund under GST? Okay. Very interesting. There is a period of limitation for refund of GST as well. And what is the period of limitation? Basically, it is 2 years. Yeah, so I can claim GST refund within 2 years. Within 2 years. 2 years. The time limit for claiming the GST refund is 2 years. So if I have paid excess tax, if I have paid any wrongful tax, I can claim the refund within 2 years. Interesting thing is, if I want to claim the refund of credit, like I have unutilized credit in my account because of export or because of inverted duty structure, I can claim refund after the end of the tax period, like after the end of the financial year within 2 years. So like I have the accumulated balance of ITC in my account for 21-22 1 lakh rupees. So that 1 lakh rupees ITC which is unutilized in my account, I can claim refund that after the end of the financial year within 2 years. Yes, within 2 years. So in that case, after the end of the tax period, I can claim refund for unutilized ITC. All the other cases, I can claim refund within 2 years from the relevant date. That relevant date will be the payment of tax, the day on which I have paid the tax. Some other cases as well. Normal time period we have to remember. For claiming GST refund, the time limit is 2 years. Now the another question arises. Yes. Actually, it at any tax period. So any tax period means there is two option. I will explain to you. Either I can claim the refund after the end of every month, or I have an option to claim the refund after the end of financial year as well. So the 2 year will be counted from the end of financial year. So like I have paid the tax in May month. Like I have export something in May month and I have an accumulated balance of lot of ITC in the May month. I can claim the refund for the May month in June as well after the end of the tax period. Or if I don't want to claim refund every month, I have an option to claim the refund at the end of the financial year as well. The 2 year will be counted from the end of the financial year. Clear? Okay, nice. Now, next point is, what is the application? How I can apply for GST refund? Actually, for claiming GST refund, there is a form, and there is a common form for all the refund. And what is the form number? Now again, they can ask you in your MCQ. The form number for filing GST refund is GST RFD01. GST RFD01. So with the help of this form, I can claim GST refund under section 54. So for claiming any refund under section 54, I can file a form. The form number is GST RFD01. And through online portal, I can file this form for claiming any refund. Now, again, another question is, sir, what are the documents required to be attached? What are the documents required to be attached for claiming refund? First of all, I have to provide such documentary evidence which will establish my refund application. Like if I am exporting something and I want to claim the refund on the export, then I have to present the export invoices. Okay. If I have paid excess tax, then I have to present the challan. Or if I have paid tax, I am a CTP, and if I have paid tax through challan, of course I have to present a document that will prove that I am eligible for the refund. I need a refund. Now, another document is required that will prove the doctrine of unjust enrichment. Such document that will prove that I have not passed on the burden to the another person. But again, this second document will not be required in a lot of cases where I have already mentioned that no requirement of proving unjust enrichment. In that case, you don't need the second document. Of course, you have to establish your refund application. So you have to present the documents which will prove that you are eligible to claim refund. But the second document that proves that I have not passed on the burden of incidents, that document is not required in case of all the cases where unjust enrichment is not required to be proved. So like for zero rated supply, I am not required to prove that I have passed on the burden. In that case, it is not required to submit the second document. Yeah. Now important. If claim amount is less than 2 lakh, the refund application will be on self-declaration basis. But if the claim amount is more than 2 lakh, then the refund application should be accompanied with CMA or CA certificate for proving that the doctrine of unjust enrichment has not been, or the burden has not been passed on. So CA or CMA certificate is required if the refund amount is more than 2 lakh. And only in those cases, now this is very important, only in those cases where I need to attach a document of doctrine of unjust enrichment. So CA or CMA certificate will not be required where there is no requirement to prove unjust enrichment. So CA or CMA will certify that the burden has not been passed on. I have thoroughly audited the books of account, and there is no proof that there is no incidents that shows that the burden has been passed on. I am certifying that the doctrine of unjust enrichment has not been breached. That certificate is required by CA or CMA if the claim is more than 2 lakh rupees. But again, I am repeating, this certificate is required only where the cases doctrine of unjust enrichment is required to be proved. Where there is no requirement to prove doctrine of unjust enrichment, CA and CMA certificate will not be required even if the claim is more than 2 lakh. Okay, Kishore? Again, I am repeating. Generally, the refund will be on self-declaration basis if the refund amount is not more than 2 lakh rupees. Not more than 2 lakh. But if the refund is more than 2 lakh, then I need a CA or CMA certificate that proves that the doctrine of unjust enrichment has not been breached, the burden has not been passed on to another person. That is required where the cases needs a document. C and CA certificate will also be required. Okay. Now, sir, section yeah. डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ नहीं प्रूव शिफ्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, शिफ्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं, हमने ये टैक्स कस्टमर से नहीं लिया है, तभी तो यू आर एलिजिबल फॉर रिफंड. अदरवाइज आप कस्टमर से भी टैक्स ले लोगे और सरकार से भी रिफंड ले लोगे तो आपको तो एक ही बार पे किए गए टैक्स का 2 बार बेनिफिट मिल गया. जहां पे हमें यस हमें ये प्रूव करना पड़ेगा कि हमने जो टैक्स आपको पे किया है, जिसका हम रिफंड मांग रहे हैं, वो पैसा हमने कस्टमर से चार्ज नहीं किया है. यस, दैट इज द डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ अनजस्ट एनरिचमेंट. सो इट इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू बी प्रूव्ड इन ईच एंड एवरी केस. यस, सीए एक्चुअली आपकी बुक्स देखेगा, सीए आपकी बुक्स देखेगा, सीए आपके ट्रांजैक्शन का ऑडिट करेगा. उस ट्रांजैक्शन में जिसके ऊपर आप रिफंड मांगना चाह रहे हो, उस ट्रांजैक्शन का वो ऑडिट करेगा. और अगर आपने इनवॉइस में वो टैक्स चार्ज कर दिया है, कस्टमर ने उसका पेमेंट आपको कर दिया है, तो फिर सीए सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं दे पाएगा. So of course CA has to do the audit of that accounts of that transaction, a deep investigation of that transaction, because here CA is required to certify. It's not an audit, it's a certification. So he has to look at the books of accounts, he has to look at the transaction, and if he is satisfied that yeah, burden has not been passed on, then only he will certify that this on this transaction the burden has not been passed on to the customer. That CA has to do. Okay, nice. Now, in refund, what MCQ they can ask from us? First of all, I have covered all the transaction where a person can claim refund. Second, I have covered all the transaction where unjust enrichment is required, unjust enrichment is not required. Third, I have covered what the documents required with the refund application, what is the form number of the refund application, and time limit of refund application. Is this limit in the transaction wise, or depends what kind of refund you are claiming? If you are claiming any refund for a single transaction, then they have to certify transaction wise. If you are claiming any refund, it depends on the refund application. You are claiming refund for whole year, then we have to certify the details for whole year. If you are claiming refund for any specific transaction, then certification is only for the transaction. Depends on what time of claim you have prepared. Okay, now the point is, one more thing, it's a very small thing, I think it was covered in the notes, or maybe or not, very small thing. Minimum amount to be minimum claim for refund should not be less than 1000 rupees. This is important. If you are claiming a refund and the amount of refund is less than 1000, you are not eligible for refund. Yeah, 1000 rupees. Minimum refund to be claimed is 1000 rupees. If less than 1000 rupees, you are not eligible for refund. It's a minimum refund amount. Okay. Now, again, one important thing they might ask you in the exam, sir, how to calculate the refund of ITC in case of zero rated supplier? Again, this is very important, and for this we have to look at the formula. Yeah, this is very important. If you have notes, I will suggest you please open your PDF. If you are looking this if you are watching this session on laptop, please open this PDF in your mobile. If you are watching in the mobile, please open your PDF in the laptop. But it is very important, sir. How to calculate the amount of refund of ITC in case of zero rated supply? So now we have to look at the formula. We have to look at the formula, and formula is very simple. How much is the maximum refund allowable in case of exporter? Look at the formula. In numerator, we are putting turnover of zero rated supply of goods plus zero rated supply of services. Divide by total turnover. You know why we are doing this? First, I have to give you the logic why we are doing this. Then I will explain you the formula. But first I have to give you the logic why we are doing this. Listen. For example, I have an ITC, and I have ITC in my account. Now I want to claim the refund. This ITC belongs to domestic turnover as well as export turnover. Yes, if I am claiming the ITC, maybe I am doing domestic turnover as well. So my ITC belongs to domestic turnover as well as export turnover. What I have to do, I cannot claim the refund of the 100% ITC here. You know why? Because if I am claiming the refund of the 100% of unutilized ITC, then maybe that ITC belongs to domestic turnover as well. And government is not allowing me to claim the cash refund of the ITC which belongs to the domestic turnover. Government is refunding me the unutilized ITC only for the export turnover, not for the domestic turnover. So they came up with a formula that how can we calculate what is the maximum refund admissible. So what we have to do is we have to go for proportionate turnover, and that is given in the formula. How much is the refund amount? In numerator, we put up in numerator we put export turnover of goods as well as services, and denominator we are putting total turnover. So with this, basically we are proportionating the ITC. We are calculating the proportionate ITC which belongs to export. Like my 60% turnover is export, and I am doing 100 rupees turnover. So of course I am eligible to claim refund of only 60% ITC. I cannot claim refund of 100% unutilized ITC because maybe that ITC belongs to my domestic turnover as well. So in that case, I have to calculate the proportionate ITC which belongs to the export turnover. And for this, I have a formula. What is the formula? Net ITC. First, I have to put up the net ITC. I am again writing down the formula. Net ITC into zero rated supply of goods plus zero rated supply of services divided by adjusted total turnover. With this formula, I am eligible to calculate. I can calculate how much is my maximum refund admissible. Yes, with this formula, I can easily calculate how much is my maximum refund admissible. So maybe in MCQ based question, they might ask you a practical question where they will ask you how much is your maximum ITC refundable in case of zero rated supply. So you have to put this formula. Numerator is basically export turnover of goods and services, and denominator is basically total turnover of goods and services. But in this formula, what is the meaning of net ITC, what is the meaning of turnover, what is the meaning of adjusted total turnover, that is also given. So we have to read what is the meaning of net ITC. First of all, net ITC means the ITC availed on input and input services. Now this is very important. This is very important for your knowledge as well. That is, in case of exports, in case of zero rated supply, if I am claiming refund of ITC, I can only claim refund of ITC belongs to input and input services, not on capital goods. They will not refund me ITC which is unutilized belongs to capital goods. That is very important. So I can claim unutilized ITC, refund of unutilized ITC only which belongs to input and input services, not with the capital goods. So this is very important. कैपिटल गुड्स पे अगर आपकी क्रेडिट बची हुई है तो आप वो क्लेम करके कहीं और यूज तो कर सकते हो, पर कैपिटल गुड्स की आईटीसी का कैश रिफंड नहीं लिया जा सकता. सो यू कैन नॉट क्लेम आईटीसी विच इज अनयूटिलाइज्ड which belongs to capital goods. It is not allowed. So they might ask you this question in your exam, whether under section 54 can I claim the refund of unutilized ITC belongs to capital goods. No, unutilized ITC which belongs to input and input services can be claimed, not of capital goods. Okay, next, turnover of zero rated supply of goods means actually export turnover which is under bond and without payment of tax. Export turnover without payment of tax. You know why export turnover without payment of tax? Because if I am exporting the turnover with payment of tax, then that ITC I cannot claim as refund because I am using the ITC for paying IGST. So I can claim refund only I am having a turnover of export without payment of tax. In case of export with payment of tax, I cannot claim ITC refund. So the turnover in the numerator should only be export without payment of tax. Okay. Sir, if my 100% turnover belongs to zero rated goods, then what ITC on capital goods? You are not allowed for cash refund. Again, the better option for you is option number 2. If you are having 100% turnover of export and you have lot of ITC on the capital goods, better to go for option 2, pay IGST on the export and later claim on the refund. In that case, you are also able to utilize the ITC on capital goods, but you cannot claim the refund of ITC on capital goods. Cash refund is not allowed on the ITC on capital goods. So for those assessees who are having 100% export turnover, option number 2 is better than option number 1. Getting it? Yes. Now, what is the turnover of zero rated supply of service? In crux, I can explain it in a single line. Zero rated supply services turnover means services completed and payment received. Only that turnover I have to include where services are completed and payment is received. So payment is received and services are completed. Now I can include that turnover in my zero rated supply. I told you my export will complete only when I am receiving the payment in the foreign exchange. So what is my zero rated supply in case of services? Services are complete and the payment received. That will be the turnover of zero rated supply of services. And finally, what is the adjusted total turnover? Adjusted total turnover means my total turnover, whether it is domestic, whether it is export, whether it is export under LUT, all the turnover, but excluding exempt turnover. I will not include exempt turnover. Exempt turnover should be excluded. Can anybody tell me why I am excluding the exempt turnover from my total turnover? Can anybody tell me what is the reason to exclude exempt turnover from my total turnover? Can actually on exempt turnover I have not claimed the ITC. As per section 17, I am not allowed to claim ITC on the exempt turnover. So this ITC will not belong to exempt turnover. The ITC which I am using here is only belongs to the taxable turnover. This ITC does not belong to the exempt turnover because I have not claimed the ITC for exempt turnover. So as per section 17, I am not allowed to claim the ITC for the exempt turnover. So of course this ITC only belongs to the taxable turnover, and that's why I don't have to include my exempt turnover in my adjusted total turnover. So what is my adjusted total turnover? Turnover in the state, turnover of the export, but excluding exempt turnover, and second one is the turnover on which I have already claimed the refund. So if I have already claimed the refund, I will not use that turnover, and second I will not include the exempt turnover because that turnover the ITC was not claimable, so this ITC does not include the exempt turnover. Okay, so this is the formula now. With this help of this formula, you can easily calculate how much is my ITC admissible and how much is my total ITC I can claim as an cash refund. Getting it? So for your convenience, so that you can easily calculate these, or you can easily understand this calculation, I have attached two examples, not two, three or four examples regarding this calculation. So this is the example for calculation of export zero rated supply, refund of ITC in case of zero rated supply. So you have to solve this question at your home. With this example, you can easily understand how can I calculate the maximum refund admissible. There is one more formula, and that formula is for calculating the refund amount in case of inverted duty structure. Yeah, there is one more formula. That formula is for calculation of refund amount in case of inverted duty structure. And what is the formula? Very simple. Again, I am going for net ITC multiply by turnover of inverted rate of supply divided by total turnover. Yeah, what is the formula? I will write down it once again. This formula is for inverted duty structure. This is for zero rated supply. Second formula is for inverted duty structure. So now what is the formula? Again, net ITC into turnover of goods or services having inverted duty structure. That will be my numerator, divided by adjusted total turnover. Again, I will claim refund only on the turnover which is inverted duty, which belongs to inverted duty structure. So my total ITC multiply by the turnover of inverted duty structure divided by total turnover. That will give me the proportionate ITC which belongs to the inverted duty structure. But out of that, this amount I have to minus tax already paid on inverted duty structure. Because that is the amount of unutilized ITC. That will give me the amount of refund. So what is the formula for inverted duty structure? Net ITC into the turnover divided by adjusted total turnover. This will give you the total ITC which belongs to inverted duty structure minus the taxes paid. That is the unutilized balance of ITC I can claim for refund. So if I have for example, I have my 60% turnover belongs to inverted duty structure. So my 60% ITC belongs to inverted duty structure. But what I have to do is I have to reduce the tax already paid on the inverted duty structure, because that will give me the net unutilized ITC which belongs to inverted duty structure. So this formula gives me total ITC belongs to inverted duty structure. When I am reducing the tax already paid, this formula gives me the unutilized balance of ITC of inverted duty structure. And with this, I am able to calculate the maximum refund admissible. So this is the formula for refund of tax in case of inverted duty structure. I have also attached example. Yeah. Look at the yeah. Again, net ITC means ITC availed on inputs. On inputs means in case of inverted duty structure, not even services, only and only for inputs. Okay, great. So I have attached the examples as well. Not only the example, printed example, even I have prepared some example. Okay, I think the screen is just a second. Okay, now my screen is visible. Okay, so here you can also refer the example. I have prepared some examples for all of you guys. There are some handwritten examples as well. So what you have to do is you have to practice that at your home. Not only for the purpose of this exam, even for the knowledge purpose, because if you are practicing, you are doing any job, maybe somewhere you will find it useful for your job as well. So just do these examples at your home, some practical calculations I have attached. This will easily help you to understand the concept of cash refund of ITC, how to calculate the cash refund of ITC. Okay, this is regarding the refund of ITC on zero rate supply and inverted duty structure. Now, one more interesting thing. Sir, when I am claiming the refund, of course, I will be attaching an application in the form number. Tell me what is the form number for claiming the refund? RFD 0, RFD 01. That is for application. Now the department will order me in RFD 06. So refund order, the form number for refund order is RFD 06, and in how much time they have to refund? Within 60 days from the date of receipt of application. Once my application is completed and filed, they have to refund me within 60 days, and if they are not refunding within 60 days now, they are liable for interest as well. So they will be paying me interest if they are not refunding me within 60 days. So what is the time limit for department to give me the refund? 60 days from filing the application. Very nice. Now one more interesting thing. For faster refunds, government 60 डेज कहाँ से काउंट होंगे? डेट ऑफ रिसीट ऑफ एप्लीकेशन कंप्लीटेड इन ऑल रेस्पेक्ट्स. इसका मतलब 60 दिन वहाँ से काउंट होंगे जिस दिन आपकी एप्लीकेशन उनको पहुँची है और वो एप्लीकेशन सारी चीज़ों में कंप्लीट है. मीन्स सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स प्रॉपरली अटैच्ड हैं. अगर आपकी एप्लीकेशन इनकम्प्लीट हुई तो एप्लीकेशन रिजेक्ट हो जाएगी. वहाँ से 60 डेज नहीं काउंट होंगे. जिस दिन सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स कंप्लीट हो जाएंगे वहाँ से 60 डेज काउंट होंगे. Online, of course, application is online. RFD 01 is online application. Yeah, so my online application should be completed and accepted. Then only the time period will start. Actually, department क्या करता है, एक बार prima facie application आने के बाद ये चेक करता है कि सारे documents proper है कि नहीं है. अगर नहीं है तो नोटिस देके आपको और डॉक्यूमेंट्स बुलवाता है. जब वो सारे डॉक्यूमेंट्स सबमिट हो जाएंगे तो एप्लीकेशन एक्सेप्टेड मानी जाएगी. वहाँ से 60 डेज मिलेंगे आपको रिफंड माने के लिए. ओके, got it. Very nice. Now there is one interesting thing as well. Grant of provisional refund. What is the meaning of provisional refund? Actually, for the exporters, government has issued a faster refund process, and what they are saying, they will refund 90% of your refund will be settled provisionally, and within basically 7 days. Yeah, so what they are saying, we will take 60 days for your complete process of the application, but once we will receive the application, within 7 days we will give you the provisional refund. And how much is the provisional refund? जितना भी refund total claim किया है, 90% of that refund we will provisionally allow you within 7 days. Yeah, but important is they will check your application, they will check all the documentation. Remaining 10% refund they will issue later. But in case of exports, they will provisionally issue a refund so that the exporter doesn't require a lot of working capital. Working capital requirement को कम करने के purpose के लिए what government does is they issue refund on preliminary examination, 90% refund on provisional basis, as soon as possible. Later they will process your application, they will issue the remaining 10%. That is called the provisional refund. Now one more interesting thing is refund to UN bodies and embassies. I have already told you that embassies, foreign consulates, they can claim the refund through GSTR 11. So by filing the GSTR 11, they can claim the refund on the purchases, taxes paid on the purchases. That is actually given in section number 55. Now what is the time limit for filing their refund application? Here the time limit is little bit different. It is 18 months. Yeah. Actually, in case of provisional refund, it is 90%. Without verification, only for exporters. The provisional refund clause is only for exporters. Only for exporters. They just want, it will be 60 days. They will not be eligible for provisional refund. Actually, practically बात करूँ तो practically अब सरकार सबको बहुत fast refund देने लग गई. They didn't wait for 60 days. They issued refund within 5 days, 10 days, 15 days, maximum 45 days. So actually प्रोविजनल रिफंड आया सिर्फ एक्सपोर्टर्स के लिए, पर गवर्नमेंट इस टूल को यूज सबके लिए ही कर रही है और फास्टर रिफंड प्रोसेस हो रहे हैं. पर जो लॉ बोलता है द प्रोविजनल रिफंड इज एक्चुअली फॉर जीरो रेटेड सप्लाई ओनली. Nice. Moving towards the next case, refund of UN bodies and embassies. This refund is basically for UN agencies, for embassies, for consulates. They can claim the refund of the purchases. They can claim the refund of the taxes paid on the purchases. For that, they have to file GSTR 11 and they have to apply within 18 months from the last date of the quarter in which they have received the supply. So in case of UN bodies and embassies, they have to apply within 18 months from the end of the quarter where they are receiving the services. So for example, they received some inward supply in July, October, September quarter. So with after the end of the quarter, within 18 months, they have to file a refund application and they have to file a return called GSTR 11. It is for UN bodies and embassies. They are called UIN holders. So they can also claim the refund. Another point which is interesting is interest. If they are not giving the refund within 60 days, they are liable for interest as well. Government will pay us the interest, and there are two different rates of interest. If the refund is due to court order or the adjudicating authority order, means the officer ordered the refund uh, because of any appeal or because of any adjudication, there was a refund. And if they are not giving us the refund within 60 days, they are liable for interest at the rate 9%. In all the other cases, the rate of interest for refund is 6%. So court refund, tribunal refund, adjudicating authority is giving us the refund order, then the rate of interest will be 9%. All other refund like excess payment of tax, ITC refund, zero rated supply refund, export refund, the rate of interest is 6%. So court order, adjudicating authority order, appellate tribunal order, refund rate of interest is 9%. All other refund rate of interest is only 6%. They will give us the refund only after expiry of 60 days. If they are not issuing the refund within 60 days, they will give us the interest after expiry of 60 days. Okay. Now, very interesting. Listen carefully. If I have paid the extra amount of tax to the government, but for claiming the refund, I have to prove to the department that I have not passed on the incidents to the customer. मुझे principle of unjust enrichment prove करना पड़ता है for claiming so many refunds. What if I am not able to prove that? What if I have passed on the burden to the customer? I was eligible for refund. I have paid the extra tax, but I have already passed on the burden to the customer. Now what will happen? Can anybody tell me what will happen in that case? I cannot claim refund because I have passed on the burden to the customer. Now what will happen? What will happen with my money? What will happen with the excess tax paid? Actually, it will be transferred to consumer welfare fund. Yeah, this is very important. If the amount is not claimed as a refund, excess tax paid is not claimed as a refund, then it will be transferred to consumer welfare fund, and consumer welfare fund will be used only and used only for the welfare of consumer. The name already suggests the purpose of the consumer welfare fund. It will be used only for the welfare of the consumer. So unclaimed refund are actually transferred to consumer welfare fund. Rate of interest 9%, 6% per annum. Simple interest 6% or 9% per annum. Interest in GST is always per annum. It is 9% or 6% per annum simple interest. Okay. Finally, the government will use the consumer welfare fund only for the welfare of the consumer, and C&AG will audit that. Last and final provision regarding refund of IGs. Actually, simple. I have paid the excess tax, or I have paid the tax which is eligible for refund, but I am not able to claim the refund because I have passed on the burden to the customer. I have passed on that incidents to the customer. Now I cannot claim refund. I am not able. That I have to. Incidents of tax pass on हुआ है या नहीं हुआ है, that I have to prove. If I am not able to prove, the government will not refund me that money. They will not issue the refund. Then of course I will get the refund, na. Then I will get the refund. Okay, listen, I will again repeat that. Listen very carefully. अगर मैंने इंसिडेंस ऑफ टैक्स पास ऑन नहीं किया है, ये मैंने अगर प्रूफ कर दिया तो ही मुझे रिफंड मिलेगा. अगर मैंने इंसिडेंस ऑफ टैक्स किसी और को पास ऑन कर दिया है तो अब मैं प्रूव नहीं कर पाऊंगा कि मैंने नहीं किया है. तो अब वो क्लेम रिफंड का वो पैसा अनक्लेम्ड रह जाएगा सरकार के पास में. सो नाउ दैट अमाउंट विल बी ट्रांसफर्ड टू कंज्यूमर वेलफेयर फंड. या सो ऑफ कोर्स आई हैव टू प्रूव. अगर मैं प्रूव नहीं कर पा रहा हूं कि मैंने ये बर्डन पास ऑन नहीं किया, ये मैं प्रूव नहीं कर पा रहा हूं, तो वो पैसा सरकार अनक्लेम्ड मान लेगी और उसे कंज्यूमर वेलफेयर फंड में ट्रांसफर कर दिया जाएगा. दैट इज द पॉइंट. Actually it will be after expiry of 2 years. Basically there is a time limit for me to claim refund within 2 years. So after expiry of 2 years the claim it remains unclaimed. So in that case that will be transferred to consumer welfare fund after expiry of the period of limitation. Okay. Okay, nice. So this is regarding section 57, 58, and finally section 15 says that if the tourist is going abroad, then he can file the refund for IGST. I've already discussed that, and this is all about the refund. Section 15 of IGST, section 16 of IGST. With that, I have covered section 54, 55, 56, 57, and 58. From 59, actually, assessment chapter started. So these are all the provisions of the refund. Yesterday I committed you that I will cover the refund first. So this is all about the refund. Now what we'll do? Yes, yes, yes. उनको भी refund मिलता है. उनको भी refund मिलता है वो जो purchase करते हैं. उस पर जीएसटी लगता ही नहीं है. वो एग्जम्प्ट होता है. जीएसटी लगता ही नहीं है. फॉरेन टूरिस्ट के लिए ड्यूटी फ्री शॉप से खरीदा गया सामान एग्जम्प्ट होता है, पर उन्हें जो परचेज पे ड्यूटी फ्री शॉप ने जो परचेज पे टैक्स पे किया है उसका वो लोग रिफंड मांग सकते हैं. ओके. Now, in our GST, we are left with two very small topics. First one is anti-profiteering clause or anti-profiteering measure. It is actually covered in section 171 of CGST Act. And what this anti-profiteering clause says, it's very simple. What this clause says, it says that, for example, from today, like 22nd August, rate of GST has been reduced to 5% from 18% on cosmetic products. So cosmetics, on cosmetic product, for example, on cosmetic product, the rate of GST has been reduced from 18% to 5%. Okay. Now the problem is from 22nd August, when I made any supply, now I will pay only 5% tax. But a lot of commodities are already in market with a printed MRP inclusive of tax. And that printed MRP contains 18% GST. But now when this retailer is selling, they will only pay 5% GST. So what will happen? The company will get, or the retailer, or the shopkeeper, or the company will get the benefit of 13% extra GST. They will get the profit because of the reduction in rate of GST. Because the product which is already in the market, on which the MRP is already printed, that MRP is inclusive of 18% GST. And now you have to pay only 5% GST. So what will happen? The extra 13% will be going in the pocket of the company. And this is not right, because how can a company get the benefit of reduction in GST rate? Again, principle of unjust enrichment. You cannot get the benefit out of the loss of any other person. So how can the government will reduce the rate and the benefit is going in the pocket of the company? That is wrong. It should be passed on to the customer only. The benefit should be passed on to the customer. And that's why they introduced a clause that says that if any company doesn't pass on the benefit of reduction of GST rate to the customer, either by giving the discount, either by increasing the quantity, if they are not passing on the benefit of reduction in rates by reducing the prices or increasing the quantity, then in that case anti-profiteering clause will be applicable, and company has to face a lot of penalties, and even the registration can also be cancelled if the company is not following this clause. If the company is not fulfilling the anti-profiteering clause conditions, then in that case the company can also face the cancellation of GST as well. So what I have to do is, uh, either the company has to pass on the burden of pass on the benefit of reduction in rate by reducing the price, or by uh, increasing the quantity. Ultimately they have to pass on the benefit of reduction in rates. If they are doing that, then it's good. If they are not doing that, then the company has to suffer a lot of penalties, as well as their GST get can also be cancelled. Now how can they do that, means what, how? Okay, how will they can give the discount now? I have actually seen the uh, I have seen an advertisement in a mall. They that there it was written GST discount 5% or 10%. So I was very shocked first time that how they are giving the GST discount to the retailers. Later I find out that only few days back the rates of GST was reduced on the, I think, food items or cosmetic items. I'm not very sure, but they give that discount to the customer. Either they give the discount, or maybe what they can do, if they cannot change the MRP, they cannot reduce the MRP, because the MRP is 5 rupees. Now they cannot reduce it to 4.5. Then there may be a problem of rounding off. Then what they can do, they can increase the quantity as well. So ultimately the benefit should be in the pocket of the customer, either by reducing the price or by increasing the quantity. But the burden, the benefit should be passed on to the customer. Okay. Where you will find out these notes, in the same link there is one note called miscellaneous. In that miscellaneous notes you will find out that anti-profiteering clause. Now very interesting. For executing this anti-profiteering clause, central government has constituted a national anti-profiteering authority. What is the work of the authority? The work of the authority is to overlook all the big manufacturers, to overlook all the big industries, whether they are actually giving the benefit to the customer or not. For that, they have already constituted National Anti-Profiteering Authority. The work of authority is exactly what I'm telling you. They will look at the market. They will look at the impact of the prices. They will look at the prices of the commodity, whether that prices are reducing or not, whether the quantity increased or not, whether the companies are giving benefit to the customer or not. If not, then anti-profiteering that anti-profiteering authority will take action. They will impose the penalty. They can also cancel the GST number of the company. For that, the government has already constituted National Anti-Profiteering Authority. So what are the duties of this authority? They have to determine whether the reduction in tax rate or the benefit of the ITC has been passed on to the buyer or not. To identify the taxpayer who has not been passed on the benefit, they will order the company to reduce the prices, to return the amount to the customer if it is possible. They can also impose the penalty. They also have the power to cancel the GST number as well. And what they have to do is they have to furnish a performance report to the council by the 10th day of the month succeeding each quarter. So every quarter, after end of the quarter, within 10 days, they have to put a report to the GST council that in this whole month, in this whole quarter, we have look out those many companies, we have imposed penalties on these companies, we have ordered these companies to refund the excess amount, we have ordered these companies to reduce the prices, and that is the purpose and that is the duty of National Anti-Profiteering Authority. And that is called National Anti-Profiteering Clause. It is covered in section number 171. Okay, got it? Very nice. There is one more topic that is actually in your syllabus. It is regarding audit under GST. So I can tell you there are two types of audit under GST. One audit is actually done by the officers, and another audit can be done by a chartered accountant or a CMA. There are two types of audit under GST. Actually, it is covered in section 65 and 66. If I am talking about the section number, the audit provision are actually given in section 65 and 66 of GST Act. So as per this act, we have two different types of audit. First audit is called audit by tax authorities, and second one is called special audit. Now what is the meaning of audit of tax authority? Very simple. On regular basis, like every year, every 2 year, what they do, they pick up the clients on random basis. They pick up the taxpayer on random basis, and they basically does the audit of their books of accounts. Why? to just check whether their compliances are okay or not, to check whether they are properly complying all the provisions of GST or not. So what they will do, the tax authority will go to the premises of the registered person. They will ask for the books of account. They will ask for the documents. They will audit all the documents for the books of accounts for the compliances, and that is how the tax authority will perform their audit. That audit is basically on random selection basis. Randomly they will select every year few taxpayers, and they will do the audit at the registered premises of that assessee, of that taxpayer. Again, one thing, audit is completely different from the search and investigation. So for doing the audit, first of all, they will give you the notice 15 days prior before commencement of the audit. So if you are gonna you want to audit any taxpayer, what you will do, the department will issue a notice to the taxpayer that on this particular date our audit party will come, and please prepare all the books of accounts, please produce all the documents on that date. We will audit your books of account, we will audit your documents. So this is a prior notice audit. This is not an investigation that the department will raid your premises. No, this is just an audit of books of account by the tax authorities. So they will look at your books of accounts, they will look at your documents, and they will just check whether your compliances are okay or not. So they will give you the notice 15 days prior before commencement of the audit. This audit can be going on for 3 months. So this audit is not like for 15 days or 10 days, or this audit can be continue for 3 months. So the audit party may be in your premises for 3 months. They will check your books of accounts, they will check your invoices, they will check your documents, and that might take 3 months to complete the audit. So the time period for completion of audit is 3 months. Sometimes when the documents are there are a lot of documents, the books of accounts are very huge, transactions are very complex, then they can also ask for the extension. How much? 6 months. So what will happen? On finally concluding the audit, registered person will also furnish with the audit findings. So the registered person will also be furnished with the findings of the audit, that we have find out these is non-compliances, and these are the compliances, these are the documents which are not proper. These are complete audit report will be furnished to the registered person as well as to the commissioner. Now what the commissioner will do, on the basis of the audit done, now the commissioner will issue the show cause notice. If the commissioner find out that there are so many irregularities, then they can issue you the notice. They can issue the show cause notice. They will ask you the demand. They will ask for the demand of the duty. If they find inconsistencies in your books of account, they find non-compliances in your books of account, they can also ask for the they will issue show cause notice. So basically show cause notices are issued on the basis of audit done by the tax parties. So that audit is basically done by the officers. Now there is one more audit. That 3 months, no, 9 months. 3 months plus extension of 6 months. 3 months plus extension of 6 months. Okay. This is an audit done by the tax authorities. Okay. Now there is one special audit, and now a chartered accountant and CMA, role of chartered accountant and CMA in this kind of audit, special audit. What is this audit? Listen very carefully. I am doing investigation. I am doing search. I am doing assessment. And during investigation of a person, there are some complex transactions of input tax credit. The officer is of opinion that there are so many non-compliances in ITC, and the transactions are so complex that we need an expert opinion. We need these transactions to be audited by a chartered accountant or cost accountant hired by the tax authorities only. So the tax authorities who are doing the investigation, basically they are outsourcing some investigation to us. This audit is called special audit. So what will happen is, at any stage of scrutiny, inquiry or investigation, assistant commissioner is of the opinion that the value are not correctly declared, or the credit is not normally allowed, or it is improperly availed. They may nominate a cost accountant or a chartered accountant for doing that audit, and now the chartered accountant or the cost accountant has to complete this audit within 90 days. Again, there is an extension period. How much time they can extend is 90 days. So 90 days plus 90 days extension. Audit is conducted for the accounts. But interesting thing is, this audit will be conducted even the accounts are already audited by another chartered accountant. Like I have already my books of accounts are already audited by a chartered accountant under Companies Act. My books of accounts are already audited under Income Tax Act. Can department order a special audit for that? Of course they can order for a special audit, because the special audit is not for the complete set of books of accounts. The purpose of the special audit is to find out the irregularity in the valuation and ITC provisions. So if I have any non-compliances in ITC, if I have any non-compliances in valuation, my value is under declared, then in that case the officer can order a special audit. That audit will be done by the CA or the CMA. Department will nominate the auditor. Department will pay the fees. Fees will also be paid by the department only. Yeah, no, no, not by the department. Ordered by the department. Second audit will be done by CA or CMA. It third party. There is no involvement of that assessee. Yeah, okay. Actually, the role of third party is negligible. That the work of third party is just to provide the books of account. The auditor will be nominated by the department. The fee will be paid by the department, and the audit will be ordered by the department only. So the role of the third party is just to provide the books of accounts. The auditor, the chartered accountant, or the cost accountant will go to the premises, registered premises of the taxpayer. They will do the audit like the tax authorities. They have the power like the tax authorities. They can ask for the books of account. They can ask for the documents, and then they will report to the department only. The fee will also be received from the department only. Okay, so this is about two types of audit. It is covered under section 65 and 66. 65 talks about the audit by the tax authorities. 66 is the audit done by the chartered accountant or the cost accountant, ordered by the tax authority. So in both the cases, order will be passed by the commissioner or the assistant commissioner, tax authorities. But one audit is done by the officer only, and the special audit will be done by chartered accountant or cost accountant. Okay, so this is about the audit provision under GST. Now as per your syllabus, I have completed all the part of your syllabus of GST except classification. Why I left with the classification topic? Because classification under customs and under GST is exactly same. So I will be covering the classification in customs only. So this is all about the GST provisions. Now tell me, you are having any doubt regarding audit? Otherwise I am now switching over to custom notes. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, that is I can say it's an internal circular for department, that if the turnover is more than the audit is required to be done every year. If the turnover is less than this amount, then the audit will be required in every 2 year or 5 year. That was their internal circular. So the department will decide whether they have to do the audit based on the turnover. But that is not given in our sections. That is their internal circular. They will decide the limit, that above this turnover is going above this limit, we will do the audit every year. Okay, nice. रैंडमली चूज करेंगे. एक्चुअली उनका इंटरनल स्ट्रक्चर होता है कि रैंडम चूज करने में भी जिन असेसीज का टर्नओवर बहुत ज़्यादा है, उनको फिर वो हर साल या हर 2 साल या हर 5 साल में ऑडिट कर सकते हैं. रैंडम सिलेक्शन भी होता है और टर्नओवर बेस्ड सिलेक्शन भी होता है. बट नाउ दिस इज देयर इंटरनल मैनेजमेंट. वो हमारे एक्ट में कवर नहीं होता है. व्हाट विल बी द आउटकम एंड एक्शन ऑफ ऑडिट? एक्चुअली आउटकम और एक्शन ऑफ ऑडिट ये है कि जो भी ऑडिट फाइंडिंग्स होती है उसके हिसाब से शोकॉज नोटिस दिया जाता है, और ऑडिट रिपोर्ट को एविडेंस की तरह माना जाता है शोकॉज नोटिस में. ओके, नाउ या actually, yeah, first of all, if they are if the company is paying director fee, then they will be paying the tax under RCM. Now they can claim ITC, and if your ITC is unutilized, अगर उनका ITC unutilized रह जाता है, तो yeah, these are input services. So on input services, ITC is refund is allowed. On input services, refund is allowed. Actually, okay. I have to, okay. Actually, now, okay. Act, I got your point that it is not specifically given that if this is the case, then whether we will get the refund or not. We will discuss it in the detail. Right now, actually, it is not possible to discuss that particular specific doubt in detail. You can WhatsApp me later. I will discuss that on WhatsApp. Okay. Right now, I am talking about one more doubt is meaning of adjusted turnover and refund. Adjusted turnover means total turnover that is domestic plus export, but excluding the exempt turnover. Excluding exempt, all the turnover, whether it is domestic turnover or export turnover, that is included in the definition of adjusted turnover. Now, now I have to focus on the customs because we have so limited time. So now I am starting with the custom notes. You can download these notes from the folder, from the link I have already given you. And from where we are starting right now, we are starting from custom valuation. In our syllabus, we have custom valuation, and custom valuation is governed by section number 14 of Customs Act 1960. Uh, Customs Act 1962, section number 14. Section 14, Customs Act 1962. Now, what about this section? Actually, this section is divided into two parts. Section 14 subsection 1 and section 14 subsection 2. Section 14 subsection 1 talks about the value based on transaction value, like actual price. Okay. And section 14 subsection 2 talks about the tariff value. First, I will cover what is the meaning of the tariff value. Tariff value means the value will be notified by the government only. So there are so many commodities in the market where the prices are very fluctuating. Like there are so many commodities internationally, their prices are fluctuating daily. So for those commodities like crude oil, like palm oil, like gold, the government has already notified the value on which we will be collecting custom duty. So there is a fixed value on which they will charge us the custom duty, not the value as per the invoice, not the actual price. They will charge the custom duty on a fixed price. That will be notified by the government only. That value is called tariff value. So they will give the notification of the tariff value, and we have to pay the custom duty on the basis of the tariff value, not the actual price. That is called tariff valuation. But majority of the commodities are covered in transaction value based valuation, which is covered in section 14 subsection 1. Now the question arises is, sir, what is the meaning of transaction value based valuation? Transaction value based valuation means I will be paying duty on the price. Transaction value means price. So I will be paying the duty on the price, not the fixed value or not the presumptive value. I will be paying custom duty on the actual price I have paid for importation of such goods. So at what price I have imported the goods, at that price I have to pay the custom duty. That is called transaction value based valuation. So now the question arises is, in case of import, sir, what should be the value for the purpose of calculation of custom duty? In case of export, what should be the value for the purpose of calculation of custom duty? First, we will talk about the import. What it says about import, uh, like I have imported some goods from US to India. Okay. Now the price I have paid in US for buying the goods is called FOB price. That is $10,000. It is called free on board price. The price for the export country. So in the export country, I have paid $10,000. That is called FOB price. Now to bring that goods in India, I have to pay the insurance, I have to pay the transportation, I have to pay the unloading charges as well. So by adding all these value, I will be reaching to the CIF value, and that is called the import value. So in case of importation, CIF value is the value on which I have to pay the custom duty. So not on the price I have paid in the export country. In that price, I have to add uh, transportation as well as insurance. So my FOB value plus my transportation plus my insurance, that will make the CIF value. And on that CIF value, I have to pay the import duty. So for the purpose of importation, for the purpose of paying custom duty on import, what value we have to use? CIF. That is the value for delivery at the place of importation. So it means at what cost, what is the cost of bringing that goods to India at the port of importation, where I am importing the goods. What is the cost to bringing that goods to that place? That cost will be the import value, and on that value I have to pay the custom duty. So not only the price I have paid for purchasing the goods, I also have to add insurance. I also have to add transportation. I also have to add any unloading charges, and that will make the CIF value. On that CIF value, I have to pay the import duty. Sir, what about the export? In case of export, what is the price at which I have to pay the export duty? Transaction value for delivery at the time and place of exportation. So from where I am exporting my goods, sir, I am exporting my goods from Mumbai airport or Mumbai port. So the cost of bringing the goods to the Mumbai port or Mumbai airport is the value for the purpose of export. That value is called FOB value. So when I'm exporting something, my export value means bringing that goods to the port of exportation. If I am exporting my goods from Mumbai, so the cost of bringing that goods to the Mumbai, the cost of that goods till Mumbai will be called FOB value, and on that value I will be charging the export duty. And on case of import, I have to pay import duty on CIF value. That is the value for bringing the goods to the port of importation. So in case of import, I will be paying duty on CIF value. In case of export, I will be paying duty on FOB value. Okay. Saurabh is asking, export duty is applicable on which goods? Only 5 and 6 commodities. There are only 5 and 6 commodities on which there is an export duty. Some, I think, handicraft goods are there for export goods on which there is an export duty. 5 or 6 commodities are only there, which is given in Schedule 2 of Custom Tariff Act. Only 5 and 6 goods which are covered in export duty under customs. Manoj is asking, what about the export of services? Actually, export of goods is covered in Custom Act. Export of services is covered in GST. So IGST rate is applied on export of services. In case of export of goods, custom rates are applicable. Nice. Now, so sir, now we are getting a general concept that if I am importing something, I have to pay import duty on CIF value. If I am exporting something, I have to pay the export duty on FOB value. Sir, now how to calculate the CIF value? How to calculate the FOB value? For this, we have to actually follow import valuation rules. Yeah, there are some import valuation rules that indicates how to calculate the CIF value, how to calculate the value for the purpose of importation, how to calculate the value for the purpose of calculation of custom duty. We have to follow import valuation rules. For export, we have export valuation rule, but for import, we have import valuation rules. So first, we will be starting with rule 3 of import valuation rule that says how to calculate CIF. There is a formula given in the rule. And what is the formula? Start with FOB value, FOB price. You have to do some additions of rule 10.1 and 10.2. So FOB value plus 10.1 plus 10.2. All these will be added to calculate CIF value. So what is the formula of calculation of CIF value for the purpose of import? FOB plus some additions in 10.1 plus some addition in rule 10.2. So yeah, now we have to understand what are the additions in rule 10.1 and what are the additions in rule 10.2. So what are the additions in rule 10.1 and 10.2? First, there are 7 inclusions in rule 10.1. It means in FOB price, I have to add all these items in 10.1 and then 2 inclusions in 10.2. Then we will be arriving at CIF. So from FOB to CIF, we have total 9 additions, 7 additions in 10.1 and 2 additions in 10.2. So what are these 7 inclusions in 10.1? First addition, I have to add the commission. If I paid any commission for the purpose of import, for importing such goods, I have paid any commission to the agent, whether the agent is in India, whether the agent is abroad, it doesn't matter. If I paid any commission for the purpose of import, then I have to add that commission in the value of the goods. So commission will be added in the FOB value, but there is one exception. Only one kind of commission will not be added, and that is called buying commission. Except buying commission, all the other commission will be added while calculating the CIF value. So I have the FOB price. What I will do, I will add all the commission, whether it is paid in India, whether it is paid in abroad, except one commission, and that commission is called buying commission. So what is the meaning of buying commission? Buying commission is basically a commission paid for representing yourself outside India. So I am not going outside India. I appointed an agent to do all the formalities on my behalf. For that, I will be paying the buying commission. That commission will not be included. All other commission will be included while calculating the custom valuation. Second, I will add cost of packing. If I have incurred any packing cost for bringing the goods in India, I have to do some packing expenses. I will add that. I will add cost of container. I have to hire a container to bring the goods to India. So the cost of container will be also be added. So I am adding the commission paid for bringing the goods or for importation. I will be adding the packing cost. I will be adding the container cost. Next thing I will be adding is royalty and license fees. Other than the price, if I have to pay the royalty or if I have to pay the license fees for the use of the goods, of course that will also be added because it is a cost of my goods. It is the cost of bringing the goods to the India. Even if I am paying the royalty for use, actually it is to purchase the goods in India. So other than the price, if I have to pay the royalty for usage, if I have to pay the license fees for the uses, that will also be added in my custom valuation. Next thing I will be adding, so there are 4 inclusions. Fifth one is, sir, what about the returnable packing? What amount what kind, if it is a returnable packing and if I am getting the refund, then that packing will not be included. So, but in that case, but I have to declare, I have to file a declaration that I will be returning that packing within 6 months. So normally the packing cost will be added, but if there is any returnable packing, then that packing will not be included if I am filing a declaration that I will export that packing material again within 6 months. If I file that declaration, then that returnable packing will not be added in my cost. Okay. Next, fifth adjustment is value of assistance. What is the meaning of value of assistance? For example, I ordered something from China, but I sent raw material to the Chinese manufacturer free of cost. So I send raw material to the Chinese manufacturer. I send the designs. I send the components. Now look at the situation. If I am sending the raw material, tools, design or free of cost to the Chinese job worker, of course when he is sending me the finished goods, his price will not include the price of the raw material, because I am sending the raw material to the Chinese job worker free of cost. So of course when he is charging the price, he will be taking only the processing charges from us. He is not charging the money for raw material because I am sending the raw material to the job worker, but that raw material cost will be added again. So the price that he is charging will only for the processing, because I am sending the raw material free of cost to the Chinese job worker. So now what I will do, I will add the value of assistance. I will add the value of the raw material I supplied to the Chinese job worker free of cost. I will add the designing cost that I have incurred and I have supplied to the Chinese job worker free of cost. So what is the value of assistance? If the raw material, tools supplied free of cost or at the reduced cost to the job worker of the abroad, or I have sent the drawings, designs to the abroad, then that amount will be added in my FOB value, because my FOB value is not the actual intrinsic value of the commodity. My FOB value will only be the processing charges, because I am sending the raw material to the job worker. But what should be the intrinsic value of the goods? The value of raw material should also be added in that, and that's why we have to add that. Even if the raw material is going from India, it doesn't matter. If I am importing something from outside India, it should be the total value of commodity, including the material cost. So we have to add that material cost, because that material cost is not charged by the job worker. He only charged the processing fees, because I sent the raw material free of cost. So I have to add back all the value of assistance. But here we have to keep in mind one important thing. For drawings and designs, it will be added only if the designing is done outside India. If I am sending the design prepared in India, then that designing will not be included. Designs will be included only if the designs were prepared or blueprints were prepared outside India. So I have given an order to a designer of Italy to prepare a design, and I send that design to the Chinese job worker. That designing cost will be included because designs are also prepared abroad. But if I am preparing the design in India and now I am sending it to the job worker, then the designing cost will not be included. Raw material tools, that will be included whether the origin is India or outside India, it doesn't matter. But if the designs are prepared outside India, then only it will be added. If the designs are prepared in India, then it will not be added in my custom valuation. So important is, if the designs are prepared in India, it will not be added in my custom valuation. Designing charges will be added only if the designs are prepared outside India. So that is the fifth important inclusion, called value of assistance. What is the next? Next addition is, what if designing cost is already added? If it is already added, then we will not add back again. I am adding all these additions because these are not added in my FOB price. If my FOB price already included the assistance value, already included the commission amount, then I will not add back. I am adding in the FOB value. I am having a presumption that all these amounts are not already included in the FOB value. Okay, very nice. What is the point number 6? Yes. Yeah, yeah, that is the reason. That is the logic, that when I am sending the raw material free of cost, I have benefited with the export incentives. So when the goods are again coming back, they are required to be the import duty is required to be charged. That is the logic. Okay, now point number 6 is share of subsequent sale proceeds. If I am entering into a contract with the exporter, that I am not only giving you the price, I will also share you the profit that I will be earning in India, then that share of profit will also be added in my custom valuation. So my contract paper says that I will be paying this price right now, plus I will be also sharing the profit margin in India, then that share will also be included in my import valuation. And finally, exporter is charging any other charges from us. Importer is liable to pay any other charges in whatsoever name. Whatever name I am paying it for the purpose of importation, I have to include that in my custom valuation. So as per rule 10.1, we have how many inclusions? 7. What are the 7 inclusion? I am repeating once again. Commission, except buying commission. Packing, cost of container. Fourth one is royalty and license fees. Fifth one is value of assistance. Sixth one is share of subsequent sale proceeds. And seventh one is any other charges. These all are added in my FOB value. And after adding all these 7 inclusion, where I will reach to adjusted FOB as per customs. This will be called adjusted FOB. So in the FOB given in the question, I have added 7 adjustment. Now where I will reach, this will be called adjusted FOB. Adjusted FOB as per customs. Again, this is an FOB, but it's an adjusted FOB. Now what I have to add? As per rule 10.2, I have to add 2 more additions. Because this is an FOB, adjusted FOB, now I have to add transportation and insurance. Then I will arrive at CIF. So I have to add transportation cost as well as I have to add the insurance cost. Now, how much is the transportation, how much is the insurance, and what will be added? Listen, I will add actual cost of my freight. I will add freight, actual cost. I will add the demurrage charges for late arrival. If the demurrage charges are required to be paid for late arrival of conveyance at the port, Port Authority levied demurrage charges on the shipping company. I have to pay that demurrage charges. That will be added. Lighterage charges for unloading the goods. I have to pay the lighterage charges. So that will also be added in my transportation cost. So the freight, demurrage for the late arrival of goods, late arrival of the conveyance, and lighterage charges will be added. What will not be added? Demurrage for late clearance of goods. Because once the goods are landed at the custom port, any other expenses incurred after landing of goods will be called post importation expenditure. Once the goods are landed at the custom port, all the other expenses after that will not be included in my CIF value. So once the goods are landed and I am not clearing the goods from the custodian on timely basis, I have to pay the demurrage charges for late clearance. That will not be added. I am paying the transportation in India, that will not be added, because all these will be called post importation expenses. These all will not be included. What will be included? All the cost up to the landing of goods in India. So after landing of goods, all the expenses incurred will not be added in my transportation cost. But now this is very interesting. I will be adding actual cost of freight, demurrage, lighterage charges. But in case of air transport, I have to use a formula. And what is the formula? Actual cost or maximum 20% of adjusted FOB. In case of air transport, my transportation cost should be actual cost or 20% of adjusted FOB, whichever is lower. It means there is a maximum limit of transportation in case of air. My air freight under Customs Act should not exceed 20% of the adjusted FOB. So what is the maximum limit of transportation cost? In case of air transport, 20% of the adjusted FOB, but this is only for the air transport. So what I have to do is I have to go for the actual cost, what actual freight, what demurrage charges, what lighterage charges I have paid. But in case of air transport, my actual cost should not exceed 20% of adjusted FOB. So the formula will be actual cost or 20% of adjusted FOB, whichever is lower. Whichever is lower for air freight. Sir, what if my transportation cost is not given in the question? Sir, whether I have to add it or not, I can tell you one very important thing. These two additions of 10(2) are mandatory. So if there is no transportation cost given in the question, you have to choose a presumptive rate of transportation, and that will be again 20% of adjusted FOB. So if the question is giving the transportation cost, I have to go for the cost given in the question. But if the question is not giving me any transportation cost, my transportation cost should be 20% of adjusted FOB. So this is the formula for adding transportation cost, and they might ask this question in your MCQ based paper. They might ask you a question where they will be giving you the FOB, then they will be giving the actual cost transportation, air freight, not given. I have to choose this formula. I have to go with this formula. Again, I am repeating, look at the question. First of all, look whether there is air freight or vessel freight, water freight or air freight. If it is water freight, always go for actual cost. If it is air freight, go for actual cost, but check it should not be more than 20% of the adjusted FOB. If there is no transportation cost given in the question, just add 20% of the adjusted FOB. This is for the transportation. But look at the question. If the demurrage charges for late clearance is given, don't add that. If post importation expenditures are given, don't add that. Only add freight, demurrage for late arrival, light rate and unloading charges. Not no cost other than these should be yeah. Royalty paid after importation, but it is for the purpose of importation. There are two different ideas. I am paying the royalty because I have to import that goods. I will pay it later, but the royalty is for importation, na? So of course it will be added. So it is a condition of sale. The contract is like that for buying the goods I have to pay that amount of the price and plus this royalty. If this is the contract, I have to add the royalty. If the yeah, it doesn't matter when I am paying it. Important is what my contract says. For importing of goods, I have to pay the royalty, then it will be added. Okay? They will calculate on the basis of estimations. Basically, it's a self-assessment valuation. So what they will do is they will ask you that in the next 1 year or 2 year, how much royalty will be payable. But now the question rises, if the value is not ascertainable because we are not able to find out the exact value of royalty, then there are different rules as well. We will go for those rules. If we are not able to find out the exact royalty amount, then we will be going for another rules for valuation. We will be, I will discuss it later in the lecture. There is one more question from Karthik. What about the landing charges of 1%? Actually, it is deleted. There is a case called Wipro Limited. In the Wipro Limited case, Supreme Court has clearly dismissed this provision to add exact 1% landing charges on CIF. Now it is omitted. So it should be the actual cost only. No presumptive 1% landing charges will be added on the CIF. Yes. So now insurance is there. Now I am discussing about the insurance also. Insurance, again, two option: actual cost, and if actual cost is not ascertainable, then 1.125% of adjusted FOB. So if actual cost is given for insurance, we have to go for actual cost. If actual cost is not given, then we have to add 1.125% of adjusted FOB. Again, both the cases I am referring adjusted FOB. Adjusted FOB means after adding the additions of rule 10.1. So FOB given in the question plus all the adjustment of 10.1, then we will arrive at adjusted FOB. Then we will be going for the calculation of transportation and insurance under rule 10.2. So these are the two addition under 10.2, and after that we will be arriving at CIF value. On that value I will be paying the custom duty. So this is how we will calculate the custom value. Again the same as royalty. If it is possible to calculate, then we will be going for this valuation. If it is not possible to calculate, then we will be calculating the value as per the other rules of import valuation rules, as per rule 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. About what? About what? They will give the amount. Na? If they are giving the amount, then we have to add that amount. If they are not giving the amount and they are saying that there are some restrictions where we have to pay the royalty for usage and the royalty amount is not available, then we will be going for another rules. If the royalty amount is clearly given, we have to add the royalty amount only. Okay. So this is regarding the CIF value. It doesn't matter paid in India or outside India, doesn't matter. If the question is giving buying commission paid, then don't add that commission. Otherwise all the other commission, whether paid in India, whether paid outside India, doesn't matter, it will be added. Because directly or indirectly, to intermediate agents, any intermediate agents, intermediary agents, any intermediary agent, whether it is in India, whether it is outside India, it does not matter. Only the buying commission will not be included. All the other commission will be included. Whether it is paid in India, whether it is paid to the agent outside India, it does not matter. I have a lot of examples. Just look at the first example. I will discuss it fast. Okay. So look at the first example. FOB given is 40,000. Okay. Now in the first point they are saying, other than FOB, designing charges paid in Japan. Tell me, now you have to answer it fast, whether designing charges paid in Japan should be added in valuation or not. Added, because abroad, if I am paying the designing abroad, it will be added. Now designing charges paid in India, it should be added or not? It should be no, because designing charges outside India should be added. Designing charges paid in India will not be added. Very nice. Now commission paid to the local agent, tell me whether it will be included or not. Yes, it will be included. Buying commission, no, buying commission will not be included. Now transportation cost vessel, $7,000, it should be included, of course. But whether I have to check whether it is more than 20% of adjusted FOB or less, whether I have to check that or not? No, because it is vessel. If air freight is given, I have to check whether it should not be more than 20% of adjusted FOB. Here I don't have to check because it is a vessel transport. Finally, insurance is not ascertainable. So tell me how much I have to add. 1.125% of adjusted FOB. So this is the first calculation. Answer is here. You can again revise it. Example second. FOB value given is $2 lakh. Designing charges outside India paid. Tell me, include hoga ya nahi hoga? Included. Packing charges in 7 point other charges 7 point included. So now $2 lakh plus 5,000 plus 15,000. My adjusted FOB is $220. Okay. Now question is, my air freight is $40,000. So how much should be my air freight as per 10.2? 40, 40 or less? 40. Because 40,000 is less than the 20% of adjusted FOB. Less than. My 20% of adjusted FOB is, I think, should be 44. So it is less than 40, 44. So I will add 40,000. Insurance $200 given, it will be added. Nice. Another question. CIF value is given. This is very interesting. This is very interesting question. Look at this question. This is a very small question. So they might ask this kind of question in your MCQs. CIF value is $1 lakh. Air transport included in CIF is $30,000. And insurance cost included in CIF is $2,000. We have to find out the custom value. Sir, already the CIF value is given, so my value should be $1 lakh only. Tell me. Actually, air transportation is $30,000. So the problem is, we have to check. Maybe the air transportation included more than the 20% of adjusted FOB. So what we will do is, we will first deduct the actual cost. So now my adjusted FOB is $68,000. And on $68,000, I will be restricted my transportation cost to only 20%. So my actual CIF as per the custom is not $1 lakh. My CIF as per the custom will be only $83,600 because my air freight should not be more than the 20% of adjusted FOB. So they might ask you this type of question where you have to calculate the reverse adjusted FOB and then again adding the air transportation subject to the limitation of 20% of adjusted FOB. 20% ही क्यों दिया हुआ है? इसका लॉजिक क्या है? इसका लॉजिक ये है कि ओनली बिकॉज एयर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन इज एक्सपेंसिव. आपका माल पानी से आए, आपका माल एयर से आए. आपका माल एयर से आए उस कारण आपके ऊपर बहुत ज़्यादा कस्टम ड्यूटी न लगे. एयर फ्रेट एक्चुअली बहुत एक्सपेंसिव होता है. इट माइट एक्सीड 30 और 40% ऑफ द वैल्यू ऑफ द गुड्स. सो कस्टम डिपार्टमेंट ये नहीं चाहता कि आपके एयर फ्रेट के कारण आपकी कस्टम ड्यूटी बहुत ज़्यादा हो जाए. That's where they are restricting it to only 20%. That is the logic. Okay, so there are a lot of other examples given. Now listen. After calculating the import value, after adding the 10.1, 10.2 adjustment, I will arrive at the import value. So now how I will calculate the custom duty on this import value? Another important calculation is, sir, how to calculate the custom duty on the value? And for this, we have to refer this table. This is very important. After calculating the import value, what I will do, now I will calculate the basic custom duty and the protective duty under section 6. I will explain it later what is the meaning of protective duty, what is the meaning of basic custom duty. But listen very carefully how we will calculate the custom duties now after arriving at the CIF value. This is my CIF value. Now after completing the valuation as per the CIF value, how I will calculate the custom duty? First, I will add basic custom duty on CIF value. So what rate is given in the question? 12%, 15%, 20%, the question will give the rate. So I will apply that rate on the CIF value. If in the question protective duty is given, I will also add the protective duty on the CIF value. Both the duties will be calculated only on the amount of CIF value. Okay. Now, what I will do it, I will also separate these taxes and I will write down these taxes separately here. So the duty is, this is basic custom duty amount, this is protective duty amount. Now what I will do, on this amount, not on the total amount, on the duty total, that is the total of basic custom duty and protective duty, I will add social welfare surcharge of 10%. This is the flat rate. So if nothing is given in the question regarding SWS, we always have to add SWS at the rate 10%, and that will be calculated on the total of basic custom duty and protective duty. So on this amount, I will be calculating 10% SWS. Okay, sir. Now, what I have to do after this, I will I will add CIF, basic custom duty, protective duty, and SWS. On this total amount, this amount, I will be adding IGST. Yes, IGST in customs is called countervailing duty under section 3 subsection 7. 3 subsection 7 of Custom Tariff Act says that countervailing duty will be levied on import equal to the IGST leviable in India. So whatever is the rate of IGST in India, I will be imposing CVD under section 3.7 of the IGST rate on what value, again repeating, CIF plus basic custom duty plus protective duty plus SWS. On total of all these amount, I will be adding CVD 3 subsection 7, that is the IGST rate. And I will also be adding one more CVD, that is called CVD under section 3 subsection 9. That is for the compensation cess. If on the commodity which I am importing from outside India, there is GST compensation cess leviable in India, then I also have to add CVD 3 subsection 9. And on what value? Again the same value on which I am calculating the 3.7. So on the value I am on the CIF plus basic custom plus protective plus SWS, the total value I have to calculate CVD 3 subsection 7 and CVD 3 subsection 9. Both duty will be calculated on this total amount. I will be giving you the example. A BCD cess, now there is no BCD cess. There is only one cess in customs, that is called social welfare surcharge. Social welfare surcharge of 10%, only SWS of 10%, no other cess. Okay, so import value plus basic custom duty. Sir, what about special additional duty? Now it is omitted. That special additional duty was levied for VAT under CVD 3.5. Now it is omitted. Now that 3.5 is omitted, and 3 was also, there was 3.3 and 3.5. 3.5 is for excise and 3.3 is for excise and 3.5 is for VAT. Both the duties are now omitted, and now there are new 3 CVDs, 3.7 and 3.9. Okay. Sir, what about anti-dumping? I will later on I will also explain you how to calculate the anti-dumping duty. Anti-dumping will be added in a different manner. Later on I will also explain how to calculate the anti-dumping duty. There is only one. That is also different. That is also different. That is also different. Yeah, it is still there. We will discuss that in types of duties topic. After the evaluation, we will be covering the types of duties topic. In that topic, I will be discussing what is protective duty, what is anti-dumping, what is safeguard duty, what is anti-subsidy duties on anti-subsidized article. I will be discussing later. For the basic calculation, these are the duties: basic custom, protective, SWS, CVD 3.7 and CVD 3.9. Sir, can you explain this with the help of example? Here is the example. I have the import value of 15 lakh rupees. Basic custom duty is 10%, IGST is 12%, and compensation cess is 5%. Now, sir, how to calculate the custom duty? Listen, my import value is 15 lakh. What I will do, I will start with adding the basic custom duty of 10% on this 15 lakh rupees. Now, my duty is 10% of the 15 lakh, 1,50,000. Now, after that, there is no protective duty given in the question, so there is no protective duty. Now, I will add the social welfare surcharge of 10%, but on what amount? Not on 1650, not on 15 lakh. It's a cess, it's a surcharge. So it will be calculated on the basic custom duty amount, that is 1,50,000. So on 1,50,000, I will add 10% SWS. Okay. Now, I will add CIF, my basic custom duty, and my SWS. The total will be 16,65,000. On this value, I will be adding 12% IGST and 5% compensation cess, and these are the total of my custom duties, and 19,48,000 is the total import value including custom duty. It is called landed value of goods. So the total value of goods after adding the custom duties is 1948,050. How much is the custom duty payable? 448,050. So this is how we will be calculating the custom duties. We will add basic custom duty, we will add SWS, we will add IGST called 37, I will also add GST compensation cess called 39. So this is the how we will calculate the total custom duties. Clear? Can you repeat? Pardon? What? हाँ, आईजीएसटी का क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा, आईजीएसटी का भी क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा, और अगर आपको आगे जाके कोई सेस पे करना है जीएसटी कंपनसेशन का तो उसका भी क्रेडिट मिल जाएगा. पर जीएसटी कंपनसेशन सेस का क्रेडिट सिर्फ जीएसटी कंपनसेशन सेस से एडजस्ट होता है, तो आगे भी उसकी लाइबिलिटी होनी चाहिए. अदरवाइज आईजीएसटी का तो आप पूरा क्रेडिट ले सकते हो. बेसिक कस्टम ड्यूटी, प्रोटेक्टिव, एसडब्ल्यूएस, इनके क्रेडिट नहीं मिलते, आईजीएसटी की क्रेडिट मिल जाएगी आपको. ओके, वेरी नाइस. GST compensation says GST compensation cess is actually levied on some special notified commodities like motor vehicles, tobacco, cigarettes. So when we were discussing ITC, I have not discussed anything about GST compensation cess because GST compensation cess की credit restricted है, सिर्फ GST compensation cess से adjust होती है. Yeah, so it cannot be used for any other tax liability. Nice. हाँ, एसडब्ल्यूएस दोनों पे लगता. प्रोटेक्टिव ड्यूटी और बेसिक कस्टम ड्यूटी का एग्जैक्ट ट्रीटमेंट होता है. तो प्रोटेक्टिव ड्यूटी और बेसिक कस्टम ड्यूटी एक जैसे निकाले जाते हैं, तो सेस दोनों पे लगाया जाता. ओके, नाउ लिसन वेरी केयरफुली. किसका? सोशल वेलफेयर सेस का नहीं मिलेगा. We can claim the credit of only IGST and GST compensation cess. SWS Customs Act में लग रहा है, इसका GST Act में कोई क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. इसका पर्पस एक स्पेशल सेस है, सरचार्ज है सोशल वेलफेयर के लिए. अल्टीमेटली द पर्पस ऑफ द टैक्स का पर्पस क्या होता है? रेवेन्यू. बट द पर्पस ऑफ दिस सरचार्ज इज फॉर द सोशल वेलफेयर. द गवर्नमेंट विल स्पेंड दिस अमाउंट ओनली इन द सोशल वेलफेयर. दैट्स व्हाई इट्स नेम्ड एज सोशल वेलफेयर सेस. नाउ लिसन वेरी केयरफुली. ये जो हमने पढ़ा पूरा वैल्यूएशन, ये नहीं लग पाएगा अगर प्राइस के अलावा और भी कुछ लिया है. जैसे अभी क्वेश्चन अराइज हो रहा था, अ लॉट ऑफ गाइज वर आस्किंग मी दैट सर इफ देयर इज सम अदर सेल्स प्रोसीड्स, देयर इज सम रॉयल्टी एंड वी आर नॉट एबल टू कैलकुलेट द वैल्यू, देन व्हाट विल हैपन इफ द पार्टी whom I am importing, it's my holding company, the party is there is a related party transaction, what will happen in that case? There are some restriction, that is why the transaction value is not right. Then what will happen in all these cases? So if my transaction value is not genuine, I have to go for other import valuation rules, and that started from rule 4 to rule 9 subsequently. So from rule 4 to rule 9 I have to sequentially follow all the rules. If my transaction value is not genuine, if my transaction value is not right, my transaction is of related party transaction, there are some other consideration, there is some restriction, and because of that if my transaction value is not correct, I will sequentially following from rule 4 to rule 9. Now what about rule 4? What about rule 5? Very simple. My goods are imported at a price of $100,000, okay, but this price is not appropriate, this price is not genuine. An officer or even the assessee is not able to calculate the right value because there are some other considerations as well. So now what I will do, I will look at the transaction value, or I can say I will look at the CIF value of the identical goods imported in the nearest time. So my value is not appropriate, my value is not correct. What I will do, I will go and search for the identical or similar goods in the nearest time. So my value is not correct, my valuation is not accepted, my valuation is rejected. What I will do, I will look at the identical, I will look at the transaction value of the identical and the similar goods in the nearest time. So in the nearest time, if some identical or similar goods are imported, then their transaction value can be used for valuation of my goods, because my price is not right, my price is not genuine. So I will adapt the price of another goods which are identical to my goods, which are similar to my goods. So those goods which are identical to my goods, which are similar in characteristics, functionality, imported from the same country, those goods I can use the value of those goods for my valuation. But interesting, if in the nearest time there are more than one identical goods and the price of all the identical goods are different, I will be choosing the lowest price. So in the nearest time, I have 3-4 different identical goods. The price is price of one goods is 100, another is 90, another is 80, another is 70. I will go for 70. Rule says that if you have more than one price in the nearest time of identical or similar goods, I have to go for the lowest price. Okay. And one interesting thing is, if I am choosing the price or the value of the identical goods, that goods should be valued under rule 3. Means their transaction value should be accepted. एक मुहावरा हिंदी में कि हम तो डूबे ही सनम, तुम्हें भी ले डूबेंगे. अरे हमारी ही वैल्यू रिजेक्ट हो चुकी है, हमारी ही वैल्यू ट्रांजैक्शन वैल्यू बेस्ड वैल्यूएशन पे नहीं हो रही है, हम किसी और को क्या वैल्यू देंगे. So I will adopt the value of the identical goods only if their value was correct. If their transaction value is not accurate, how can I use their transaction value for my valuation? So their transaction value should be accepted and their assessment should be finalized. If their assessment is finalized, their valuation is accepted, then their value can be used for calculation of my valuation. But there is one important thing. What? Sir, I am using the price of other goods for my commodity. So might be there is a chance that there is their adjustment is required because of change in the commercial level, because of change in the time period, because of the change in the mode of transportation. Like I was importing through vessel, they were importing through air. So might be because of the freight, my value should be different. In the gap, the nearest time the goods were imported 3 days earlier, and now my valuation is done using their value, but in these 3 days there are certain changes in the price. My commercial level is different from there, so I cannot adopt their price as it is. Because of the commercial level, because of the time period, because of the mode of transportation, it is allowed to do the adjustment in the price of the identical or the similar goods, but you need evidence to prove that. If you have the evidence that support that the adjustment is appropriate, the officer will allow you to adjust the price of the identical or similar goods. But because of the change in commercial level, because of the period, because of the mode of transportation. There is one question. Sir, what is the difference between identical or similar goods? Both goods are imported from the same country, but what is the difference? The difference is, what is the difference in identical twins and normal twins? Identical twins means which looks like same. Their looks are also same. So the same difference is in identical and similar goods. Identical means which are identical in every respect except minor differences. Similar means their functionality and quality are same, but physical characteristics are different. So first we will try to go for identical goods. If there are identical goods in the market, we will go for the identical goods. If there are no identical goods in the market, then I will go for rule number 5 that says about similar goods. So first priority is to find out the identical goods. If there are no identical goods available in the market, my second priority will be, I will be going for the similar goods. So I will be adopting the value of the identical goods or the similar goods for my goods. If there are more than one price available, I will be going for the lowest price. That is about rule 4 and rule 5 of custom valuation. That says if your value is not right, go for the value of the identical or similar goods which are imported in the nearest time. Okay? Interesting. Rule 6 is not at all important. Important is rule 7. What rule 7 says? If I am not able to find out the identical or similar goods in the nearest time, I am not able to find out any value of identical or similar goods in the nearest time, then I will be using rule 7. And what rule 7 says, I don't have any goods which are imported in the nearest time, but there are some goods which were imported, I think 1 month or 2 months back, and right now they are actually in the market. it there are no identical or similar goods imported in the nearest time, but there are some identical or similar goods which were imported 2 or 3 months back. Right now that those goods are actually in the market and they are selling in the domestic market in India. Now how can I use the value of those goods for my commodity? Very simple. I will go for deductive value based valuation, and in that case what I will do, I will find out the identical or similar goods which are actually right now selling in the market. And what I will do is I will do the reverse calculation. Those identical goods or similar goods which are right now actually selling in the market, I will reduce the profit margin of the seller in the market. I will reduce all the post importation expenses. I will reduce the custom duty which I have already paid in India. Now what I am doing is मैं उन goods को market से port तक लेके आ गया हूँ. I deducted the price from the sale price in the domestic market of India. I reduced the expenses. I reduced the profit margin. I reduced all the post importation expenditure. I reduced the custom duty. Now this is the CIF value of the goods. Through that, I can use the value of the deductive value of the identical or similar goods. But I will choose this provision after rule number 4 and 5. If I already have the identical goods, CIF value of the identical goods or similar goods in the nearest time, I will choose that. But I don't have that value. Then I will be going in the Indian market. I will look at those identical goods or similar goods at what price they are selling in the market. I will reduce the usual profit margin. I will reduce all the post importation expenses, my custom duty. Then I will be reaching at the CIF value. That is called deductive value based valuation. Manoj is asking what is the nearest time. There is no specific time period given in the custom law that says what is the nearest time. Reasonable time period only, using the common sense. Okay, nothing specified in the custom act about the nearest time. Now, sir, what if these goods are first time imported in India? There are no identical or similar goods available in the market. There are no other identical or similar goods for these goods. Sir, what is the last option I have? Computed value. And in that case, what I have to do is I have to calculate the value using cost of production of those goods. What I will do, I will actually ask, the officer will ask for the cost reports of the exporter. So what I will do is I will calculate the actual cost of the production of commodity. I will add the expenses, packing charges and all the additions of 10(1) for calculating the FOB price, and then I will be adding the transportation and insurance, and then I will be arriving at CIF value. Like I have to start the value from the export country and will bring the value to the import country. So in deductive value and computed value हम भरतनाट्यम कर रहे हैं. भरतनाट्यम कैसे? अगर हम इंडिया के पोर्ट पे खड़े हैं, हम इंडिया के मार्केट से पोर्ट पे वैल्यू लेके आ रहे हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड डिडक्टिव वैल्यू. हम एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट से इंडिया के पोर्ट तक वैल्यू लेके आ रहे हैं, दैट इज कॉल्ड कंप्यूटेड वैल्यू. सो भरतनाट्यम हो गया, इंडिया के मार्केट से पोर्ट पे वैल्यू लेके आए, इट इज कॉल्ड डिडक्टिव वैल्यू. फॉरेन अब्रॉड से कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन से लेके सीआईएफ वैल्यू तक लेके आए, दैट इज कॉल्ड कंप्यूटेड वैल्यू. So Bharatnatyam, deductive value, rule 7, computed value, rule 8. Profit margin, usual profit margin I have to add. Yeah, usual profit margin. I have to add actual cost of production, all the expenses, usual profit margin, expenses in the export country, transportation, and at last insurance. That will help us to calculate the CIF value. That is called computed valuation. And finally, residual clause says if you are not able to find out the value as per any other rules, then go for the best judgment. The officer will have to go for the best judgment. The officer will go for the best judgment. Okay, So the best judgment residual clause, best judgment, the officer will find out the value. So as per the import valuation rule, first follow rule 3 that says calculate the FOB plus rule 10.1 and 10.2. If you are not able to find out the value as per rule 3 because the price is not the consideration, only consideration, buyer and seller are unrelated, not are related, then go for rule 4, that is transaction value of identical goods, rule 5 transaction value of similar goods, rule 6 is not important, rule 7 deductive valuation, rule 8 computed valuation, and finally rule 9 best judgment. That is how you will be computing the import values. Now sir, what about export valuation rules? It is actually not important. Actually for that you have to ask, the cost reports from the exporter. If the cost reports are provided, then only you are able to calculate the actual cost of the production. Otherwise this rule cannot be applied. Okay, interesting. Now what about the export valuation rules? Actually export valuation rules are very similar to import valuation rules. What first rule says, export value should be FOB price in India. At what price I am selling the goods to the in the export country, at the place of my exportation, like at my port, at what price I am selling the goods to the I am selling the goods outside India. That price is FOB price. That is the value. But if the price is not the consideration, if the price buyer and seller are unrelated, then I will be going for transaction of like kind and quality goods. It is exactly same as similar and identical goods. In import valuation we are using the word identical or similar goods. In export valuation we are using the word like kind and quality goods. So again I am using the transaction value of like kind and quality goods. If I am not able to find out the value of like kind and quality, then I will be going for computed value. Like in India, what is the cost of production, then the profit margin, and then all the expenses in India, that will help us to find out the FOB value. There is no deductive valuation in export because I cannot find out the sale price in abroad. That's why directly we are jumping to the computed valuation, because we can find out the cost of production in India. So cost of production in India plus expenses plus profit margin in India, that will help us to find out the FOB value. And if that rule doesn't succeed, finally we have to go for rule 6 that says best judgment assessment. So this is how our export valuation rule will be. This is how we will value the export goods. So this is the complete brief of the chapter valuation. We have discussed all the import valuation rules. We have discussed all the export valuation rules. Now in your syllabus there is one more topic that is called types of duties. We have already discussed a lot of duties, like we have discussed how to calculate basic custom duty. We have discussed how to calculate SWS. We have discussed what is countervailing duty under section 3 subsection 7. I have already told you that countervailing duty under section 3 subsection 7 is actually equal to the IGST levied in India. What is CVD under section 3.9? Basically it's equal to the GST compensation cess levied in India. I have discussed that. Now I have to discuss what is the meaning of protective duty, because it is levied under section 6 of Custom Tariff Act 1975. So what is the meaning of protective duty? Listen, this duty is more like a armor. If I feel, basically there is a Tariff Commission of India. If Tariff Commission of India feels that goods importation are so much increased that in future, it will threat the interest of the domestic industry. It will prejudice the interest of the domestic industry. Import of any goods are so much increased that might be in the future it will prejudice the interest of the domestic industry. So now what should I do? We should wear the armor, and that armor is basically protective duty. Means the government will increase the import duty by leaving an additional custom duty called protective duty, so that before threatening the domestic industry, the import will be demotivated. So on recommendation of the Tariff Commission of India, central government may increase the custom duty by leaving an additional protective duty. That duty is basically similar to the basic custom duty. but we are imposing additional duty so that the import can be reduced, so that we can demotivate the interest import. And that's why they are imposing one more custom duty. That duty is called protective duty. So on recommendation of Tariff Commission of India, central government will impose this duty. This duty will be imposed for time period as deems fit. Means for protective duty there is no specific time period. It can be imposed for time period as recommended by the Tariff Commission of India. So by way of official gadget, by way of notification, the government will impose protective duty. Isn't it similar to anti-dumping? No, anti-dumping is different. I will explain you why anti-dumping is different. Okay. So this is section 6 that talks about the protective duty. It's more like a armor. Now, there is one more duty called safeguard duty, and that duty is not armor, it's a healing process. It's a medicine. Means import of any goods is so much increased that it is already threatening the domestic interest of the domestic industries. Means already the injury happened, already happened. It's not a armor. Already the domestic industries are suffering, and already the interest has been threatened. Now what? Now government will impose safeguard duty. So after injury, government will impose safeguard duty. Before injury, the government will impose protective duty. So once the injury is already done, now the government can impose safeguard duty for protecting the interest of the domestic industry. But now this is very interesting. Safeguard duty can be levied only for 4 years. Only for 4 years. However, government may extend this duty, but the total time period should not exceed 10 years. So it can be levied for 4 years, but with the extension time period, it can be levied for maximum 10 years. Okay. But what will happen if the injury is already happened now, injury is already done, then government will inquire where there is an injury, which kind of industry is suffered, how can we heal that injury, and for that they will take some time for inquiry. During inquiry, the government may impose provisional safeguard duty. Provisional means this is not final. This is provisional safeguard duty. So they may impose provisional safeguard duty, but not for more than 200 days. So not for more than 200 days, they may impose provisional safeguard duty. One question is, sir, whether we will add safeguard duty for calculation of IGST? No. This duty will be added later after adjustment of IGST. After adjustment of 37 and 39, we will add later. It's an additional duty, so it will be added in the at the end of the calculation. After 37, 39, we will add safeguard duty. Okay. So this is the safeguard duty. It will be imposed for healing the injury of the domestic industry. It may be imposed for 4 years, but can be increased or extended up to 10 years. For provisionally, they can be imposed for 200 days. Now interesting. First of all, this duty will not be imposed on CES or EOUs. You know why? Because they are not selling in the domestic market. They are importing for again exporting something. So this duty is only for protecting the domestic industry. So they are not required to pay. CES and EOU are not required to pay safeguard duty. Second, this duty will not be applicable on those developing countries whose share of import is not more than 3%. So there are some notified developing countries. If their share of import is not more than 3%, then we will not charge any safeguard duty from import from these developing countries. So import from these developing countries will be exempt from safeguard duty if their share of import is not more than 3%. So in the case import by SEZ and EOU, or in case of developing countries, this safeguard duty will not be imposed, it will be exempted. So protective duty will be, protective duty, CES and EOU will not be paying safeguard duty. ओके वापस रिपीट कर देता हूँ. प्रोटेक्टिव ड्यूटी लगाई जा रही है इंजरी को हील करने के लिए, बिकॉज ऑलरेडी डोमेस्टिक इंडस्ट्री सफ़र कर रही है. So this duty will be imposed for 4 years, but with the extension time period, this duty can be increased up to 10 years. During inquiry, the government can impose the duty provisionally for 200 days. Later, they have to notify the final duty. Now, सेफगार्ड ड्यूटी नहीं लगाई जाएगी सेस और ईओयू के इंपोर्ट पे। तो ईओयू और सेस अगर इंपोर्ट कर रहे हैं तो उन्हें कोई सेफगार्ड ड्यूटी भी पे करने की जरूरत नहीं है। एक्चुअली ईओयू सेस के इंपोर्ट पे वैसे भी कोई कस्टम ड्यूटी नहीं लगती है, तो उन्हें सेफगार्ड ड्यूटी भी नहीं पे करनी, ना उन्हें बेसिक कस्टम पे करना है, ना उन्हें प्रोटेक्टिव पे करना है, ना ही उन्हें सेफगार्ड ड्यूटी पे करनी पड़ेगी। वो सेफगार्ड ड्यूटी सिर्फ तब पे करेंगे जब वो इंडिया में बेच रहे हैं। If they are not selling in India, they are not selling in the domestic tariff area, they are not going to pay any kind of custom duty, even no safeguard duty. And second, if the import is done by developing countries, we are importing from developing countries, their share of import is very low, so they are not actually threatening the interest of our domestic industry. So we will not be imposing any safeguard duty on those developing countries whose share of import is less than 3%. Very nice. Now we have another duty, and I think this is very interesting. It is levied under section 9A. It is called anti-dumping duty. It is very important. Now what is the meaning of anti-dumping duty? Anti-dumping duty means the price at which they are dumping in India, they are selling in the India, is less than the normal price of the commodity. That is called dumping. उस प्रोडक्ट की नॉर्मल प्राइस से इंडिया को बहुत कम कीमत पे कोई मैन्युफैक्चरर माल बेच रहा है. Somebody is selling at a very low price, less than the price they are asking from any other country, less than the price they are selling in their domestic market. In their domestic market, they are selling it for $500. In India, they are exporting it for $300. So they are basically dumping in India. How can our Indian domestic industry compete with this kind of dumping? And therefore, the government will take the action. What they will do to increase the price of these dumped commodity, they will impose an anti-dumping duty, and that duty can be imposed up to the $200. How I am calculating $200? The price of the commodity should be $500, and they are selling it in India for $300. So we can impose an anti-dumping duty up to the maximum $200, and that is called margin of dumping. What can be the maximum anti-dumping duty? The normal price of the commodity minus the export price of the commodity. So at what price they should sell us? $500. At what price they are selling to us? $300. So how much can be the margin of dumping? $200. So the government can impose duty up to $200 on any commodity which are dumped in the Indian market. That duty is called anti-dumping duty. Okay. Now this anti-dumping duty can be levied for how many years? It can again be levied for 5 years. How can we can extend the duty? Maximum time limit should not exceed 10 years. So 5 year plus extension, the total time period should not exceed 10 years. Again, anti-dumping duty can be provisionally levied, but there is no fixed time period. Like protective duty, there was a time limit of 200 days only, but anti-dumping duty can be levied for any time period as required. Interesting, no anti-dumping duty on SEZ and EUU. Again, there will be no anti-dumping duties on SEZ and EUU. Now the question arises is, sir, how to calculate this anti-dumping duty? Whether this anti-dumping duty will be added in our custom duty calculation. Look at the example. The calculation of anti-dumping duty is completely different. How? Look. We are importing 100 tons of goods of $75,000. This is the import value. Basic custom duty is 10%, IGST is 12%. Government issued a notification to impose anti-dumping duty, and the notification says, listen carefully, anti-dumping duty will be equal to the difference between $1,500, that is the normal price of the commodity, and the landed value of the goods. Means गवर्नमेंट क्या चाहती है? गवर्नमेंट चाहती है कि एंटी डंपिंग ड्यूटी लग जाने के बाद इंडिया में उस प्रोडक्ट की वैल्यू 1500 रुपये टन पहुंच जाए, 1500 पर टन पहुंच जाए. तो वो ये बोल रहे हैं कि हाउ वी विल बी कैलकुलेटिंग द एंटी डंपिंग ड्यूटी. जो भी गुड्स की लैंडिंग आ रही है गुड्स की बिफोर एंटी डंपिंग ड्यूटी, और जो भी 1500 रुपये का उसका नॉर्मल प्राइस है, इसका डिफरेंस हम एंटी डंपिंग के फॉर्म में ऐड कर देंगे. So how we will calculate? I will add the $75,000 plus I will add the BCD, I will add the SWS, I will add the IGST. Now I will arrive at the landed value of the goods. My landed value per ton is 932.40, and how much should be my normal price per ton? 1500. So they will charge 567.60 as an anti-dumping duty. This is the calculation of anti-dumping duty, and this is how we will calculate the anti-dumping duty. The question will always give you what is the normal price of the commodity. What I will do, I will deduct the normal price and the landed value. The difference amount will be my anti-dumping duty. Got it? This is how we will calculate the anti-dumping duty. Yes, very nice. Now, there is one more duty called anti-subsidy duty. It is landed cost means including all the tax. All the tax means import value plus basic custom duty plus SWS plus IGST. That will arrive us at landed value. So compare the normal price and the landed value. The difference will be the anti-dumping duty. So landed value is after adding all the other custom duty like BCD, SWS, IGST, we will arrive at landed value. Now the landed value and the normal price, that will be called that difference is called anti-dumping duty. We have one more duty under section 9, that is called anti-subsidy. I don't think so this is now very relevant for us, because अब इंडिया में ये ड्यूटी नहीं लगाई जाती है क्योंकि इसका पर्पस एंटी डंपिंग जैसा ही है. Difference is very simple. Anti-dumping में a manufacturer was reducing the prices. Anti-subsidy में prices are reduced because of the subsidy given by the export country. In both the cases, the goods are imported in India in a very low price. But the difference is very easy because of the manufacturer want to dump the goods. He is intentionally reducing the prices. That is the reason for imposing anti-dumping. Government of that country, that export country, is giving the subsidy, and that's why the prices are reduced. That is the purpose of anti-subsidy. So that is not much relevant, because mostly the government is using anti-dumping duty as the tool. They are not using the anti-subsidy, but provisions are exactly same. Provisions are exactly same. Theoretically exist करती है, practically government anti-dumping use कर लेती है, because in both the cases there is a dumping. Whether the prices are reduced because of the manufacturer strategy or because of the subsidy given by the export country, ultimately the goods are dumped in the market at the lower prices. So practically government is using the anti-dumping tool rather than the anti-subsidy tool. Provisions are exactly same. It can be limited for 5 years, extended for the 10 years. Again, it can be imposed provisionally. No anti-subsidy for EOU and SEZ. Provisionals are exactly same. So government is actually using the anti-dumping duty tool rather than anti-subsidy tool. Theoretically, it exists in the Custom Tariff Act. Okay. So now the important point is, after types of duties, now we have one more topic, that is drawback. But before starting of drawback, I will first cover the classification rules, because that are more important as compared to drawback. So first I am completing the classification rules under custom. थोड़ी देर के लिए class extend कर ले तो चलेगा? Is it possible? Can we extend it for few minutes, like 15 or 20 minutes? Yeah, okay. So I will try to cover everything, okay? So now we have one more topic, that is classification of goods. First of all, classification for GST and classification of customs are exactly same. You know why? Because both the list of rates of GST are actually prescribed under custom tariff only. Means उन्होंने custom tariff का ही use किया था GST rates prescribe करने के लिए. तो चाहे हम customs act में जाएं, चाहे हम GST act में जाएं, goods की list एक ही है दोनों में. Both are using HSN classification. Yeah. Both are using the HSN classification, whether it is custom tariff or whether it is GST tariff. And that's why for finding out the rate of duty, whether it is GST or custom, the rules are exactly same. So classification under customs and classification under GST is exactly same. Now listen carefully. For finding out the rate of GST, for finding out the rate of custom, we have to go for HSN classification, and for this we have to go for custom tariff act. Now custom tariff act has two schedules. Schedule 1 consists of import duty rates, means all the rates of import duty are given in schedule 1 of the custom tariff act. There is one schedule 2 that consists export duty rates. So on those commodities on which export duties are levied, it is actually given in schedule 2. Now our custom tariff act is divided into various sections, chapters, subchapters, subheadings and headings. So how I can say that the whole custom tariff is divided into 98 different chapters. Under all the chapters we have lot of sections, and we have lot of headings, and under lot of headings we have lot of subheadings, and under subheadings we have lot of items. So how can we decode the custom tariff act? Actually we can easily decode using the HSN code. How? Listen carefully. If my HSN code of any commodity is, for example, 20081920, 20081920, that is my HSN code of any commodity. Now how can I decode it? Very simple. 2008 is basically the heading. 2008 is the heading, means it shows that this is the 20th chapter 8th heading. 2008 shows 20th chapter 8th heading, then 19 shows 20th chapter 8th headings 19th subheading, and last 20 shows 20th chapters 8th headings 19th subheadings 20th item. सो 2001920 HSN को डिकोड करें तो कैसे मिलेगा? 20th चैप्टर के 8वें हेडिंग का 19वें सब हेडिंग का 20वां आइटम यहाँ लिखा हुआ है. सो दिस टैरिफ इज कंप्लीटली coded as per the HSN. So we have lot of chapters, and under the chapters we have headings, under the headings we have subheadings, and under the headings we have items. In front of the items rate of customs are given. So how can we decode the HSN code? 20081920 says 20th चैप्टर का 8th हेडिंग का 19वां सब हेडिंग का 20वां आइटम यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है, और इसके सामने आपको कस्टम्स में दो रेट दिखेंगे. देयर आर टू रेट्स इन कस्टम्स. फर्स्ट वन इज कॉल्ड स्टैंडर्ड रेट एंड सेकेंड वन इज कॉल्ड प्रेफरेंशियल रेट. नाउ सर व्हाट इज द प्रेफरेंशियल रेट? एक्चुअली अगर मेरा कमोडिटी, इफ माई कमोडिटी आई एम इम्पोर्टिंग फ्रॉम एनी प्रेफरेंशियल एरिया, मेरा कमोडिटी कैसे ऐसे एरिया से आ रहा है, उसका ओरिजिन किसी ऐसे एरिया से हुआ है जिसे गवर्नमेंट ने प्रेफरेंशियल एरिया नोटिफाई किया हुआ है. अगर मेरा कमोडिटी उस एरिया से आ रहा है तो मेरे ऊपर प्रेफरेंशियल रेट लगेगा. और अगर मेरा कमोडिटी प्रेफरेंशियल एरिया के अलावा कहीं और से आ रहा है, इफ आई एम इम्पोर्टिंग एनी कमोडिटी एंड दैट कमोडिटी इज ओरिजिनेटेड फ्रॉम एनी एरिया विच इज नॉट ए प्रेफरेंशियल एरिया, देन मेरे ऊपर स्टैंडर्ड रेट लगेगा. सर इधर जो हमको एग्जाम्पल आपने दिखाया है, द एग्जाम्पल आई एम शोइंग राइट नाउ, द टेबल आई एम शोइंग राइट नाउ, द रेट ऑफ प्रेफरेंशियल रेट इज ब्लैंक. इट मीन्स दीज गुड्स आर नॉट प्रेफरेंशियल गुड्स. If there is no preferential rate prescribed for any goods, these goods are not preferential goods. So first of all, my goods should be originated from the preferential area, and there should be a preferential rate prescribed. If that is prescribed, then I will be going for the preferential rate. और preferential rate हमेशा standard rate से कम होगा. So if my standard rate is 30-40, maybe my preferential rate is 20 or 15. So Indian government is actually giving preference to some preferential area, and if the goods are originated from that area, then preferential rate of duty will be applicable. Subject, there should be preferential rate available. If there is no preferential rate available, then I will be using standard rate for all goods. That is called two types of rates, standard rate and preferential rates. Now one more thing interesting. What is it? Actually जब भी हम custom tariff पढ़ते हैं, there is one more thing we have to discuss. Each chapter has chapter notes. That chapter notes give the details about the exact what are the kind of goods covered in this chapter, exact nature of the goods covered in the chapter. So always we have to go for the chapter notes as well. In every chapter, in the beginning, we will find out the notes of the chapter. So like in this case, we have a 20th chapter. So in the beginning of the 20th chapter, we will find out the chapter notes. So we have to carefully read all the chapter notes. That will help us in finding the exact classification of the goods, exact detail of the goods. Okay. Now, अगर आप कोई भी टैरिफ पढ़ रहे हो, if you are reading, you are referring any tariff, and you are not able to find out the exact goods where my goods should be classified, what rate should be applicable, then I have to go for rules for interpretation. So there are some rules of classification that I have to follow if there is any ambiguity in finding out the rate of goods. If I am not able to find out the rate of goods, I have to follow some rules of interpretation. And now I have to discuss what are the rules of interpretation, what are the classification rules. These are also called general classification rules. Classification rules for tariff. It is also called rules for interpretation. So what this rule says, listen, the very first rule is very simple. What this rule says, दिल को देखो चेहरा मत देखो. If you can understand this tagline, I think this is from a song. दिल को देखो चेहरा मत देखो, है ना? So the rule is exactly same. Don't classify the goods just reading the title. Refer the chapter notes, refer the details, refer the heading name, refer the section name, refer the details given in the tariff. सिर्फ टाइटल देख के किसी भी आइटम को उस चैप्टर के अंदर क्लासिफाई मत कर लेना. नाम में कुछ नहीं रखा है, आपको उसके अंदर लिखे गए एग्जैक्ट डिटेल और चैप्टर नोट्स को पढ़ना पड़ेगा. चेहरा मत देखो, दिल देखो. चैप्टर नोट्स फॉलो करो, उसके अंदर एग्जैक्टली क्या लिखा हुआ है वो फॉलो करो. सिर्फ टाइटल पढ़ के आप ये मत मान लेना कि आइटम इसी हेडिंग या इसी चैप्टर के अंदर आएगा. सो डोंट रेफर द टाइटल. Title is only for the reference. For the legal purpose, classification should be according to the terms of heading, according to the chapter notes, exactly provided in the subheadings. That is rule number 1. Now what rule second says? Very simple. Incomplete item agar hai, if any item is incomplete, it should be classified as a completed item. अगर कोई आइटम अभी आधा अधूरा ही मैंने इंपोर्ट किया है, ऐसा कुछ इंपोर्ट किया है जिसमें 70% चीज़ें मैं इंपोर्ट कर रहा हूँ, 30% चीज़ें मैं इंडिया में ही लगाऊंगा, पर अगर वो 70% आइटम भी मैंने इंपोर्ट कर लिया है अनअसेंबल्ड फॉर्म में, तो मैं उसके ऊपर पूरे आइटम की रेट लगा सकता हूँ. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, I am not importing the assembled television. I am importing the screen. I am importing the parts used in the television. 70% parts I am importing from outside India. 30% parts I am procuring from domestic India. So all these parts which are coming in unassembled condition, that should be classified as television, and rate of television will be applied. So what rules that rule says that if any items are imported in incomplete form, if any items are imported in unassembled form, if any items are imported in unfinished form, it should be treated as the completed item if the essential characters have achieved. If major items, if the commodity is not completed, पूरी तरह से commodity मैंने बाहर से import नहीं किया है, but मैंने कुछ चीज़ें इस तरीके से उसको complete कर लिया है कि majority of the things are already completed, देन मैं उसे पूरे आइटम की तरह क्लासीफाई कर सकता हूँ. जैसे मैंने मोबाइल फ़ोन बाहर से मंगाया, चार्जर और हेडफोन्स में यहाँ से लाने वाला हूँ, तो मैं मोबाइल फ़ोन के ऊपर और चार्जर और हेडफोन के ऊपर पूरे मोबाइल फ़ोन का रेट लगा सकता हूँ. तो इनकम्प्लीट कमोडिटी को कंप्लीट कमोडिटी की तरह ट्रीट किया जा सकता है. ये रूल 2A बोलता है. अगेन, अगर मैंने इफ़ आई एम इम्पोर्टिंग ए मिक्सचर, मैं कोई ऐसी चीज़ इम्पोर्ट कर रहा हूँ जिसमें 2-3 चीजें शामिल है. इफ आई एम इंपोर्टिंग ए मिक्सचर, अगर मैं कोई ऐसी चीज इंपोर्ट कर रहा हूं जिसमें 2 केमिकल शामिल है, मैं 2 केमिकल का मिक्सचर इंपोर्ट कर रहा हूं, तो सर उसे कौन सा केमिकल माना जाएगा? very important, वो chemical which is giving the essential character, the chemical which is more important, the chemical which is giving the essential character should be treated as the chemical. तो ऐसा chemical अगर मैं mixture import कर रहा हूँ तो मुझे ऐसे chemical पे जाना है जो कि सबसे important है उस mixture के अंदर, उसे मैं classify कर सकता हूँ. That is given in rule 2b. Rule 3a is very interesting. What it says, special over general. अगर दो हेडिंग आपके टैरिफ में दी हुई है, एक जगह लिखा है इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आइटम्स और एक जगह लिखा है टेलीविजन, और मैं टीवी इंपोर्ट कर रहा हूं, तो बताओ मैं उसे इलेक्ट्रॉनिक आइटम मानूंगा या टेलीविजन मानूंगा? If I am importing television and there are two different headings in the tariff, first one is electronic item, second one is television, then what rule will prevail? I will go for special or I will go for general? Of course I will go for special. That rule is always followed in interpretation of law. It is called specialia over generalia. Specialia or generalia means I will always go for special provision over general provision. That rule of interpretation I have to use in tariff valuation as well. So again, it is what it is saying, that I have some general heading, I have a special heading. Always follow the special heading. Next rule is again essential character principle. I have already discussed that if I am importing the mixture, if I am importing the composite supply, then what is principle here? It is similar to section 8 of the GST Act. Rule 3b says essential character principle. If I am importing something composite, then what is principle in that? What is essential in that? That will be treated, that will be used as the classification for the that will be used as the classification of our good. So अगर मैं कुछ दो तीन चीज़ें import कर रहा हूँ, जैसे मोबाइल फ़ोन, उसका हेडफोन, उसका चार्जर, कुछ एक्सेसरीज, सो पूरे प्रोडक्ट को मोबाइल फ़ोन ही मान लिया जाएगा, क्योंकि मोबाइल फ़ोन इज़ दी important in the principal item. मोबाइल फ़ोन ही उसे essential character दे रहा है. So if I am importing mobile phone, but with the mobile phone I am also importing the accessories, then the whole will be treated as mobile phone only. Okay. Next is later the better. If any other rule is not followed, means मैंने बाकी सारे rule लगा के देख लिए, फिर भी मैं classification नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ. दो टैरिफ में मेरा गुड्स आ रहा है, इवन सब लगाने के बाद भी दो रेट्स मेरे पर लग रहे हैं, दो टैरिफ की अलग अलग हेडिंग के अंदर मेरा गुड्स आ रहा है, एसेंशियल कैरेक्टर भी लगा दिया, सब लगा दिया, फिर भी मेरा दो टैरिफ में कहीं एक जगह क्लासिफाई होगा. अब ये बोलते हैं लेटर द बेटर. लेटर द बेटर मतलब एक हेडिंग आ रही है चैप्टर नंबर 20 के अंदर, एक हेडिंग आ रही है चैप्टर नंबर 40 के अंदर, तो मैं चैप्टर नंबर 40 फॉलो कर लूँगा. जो बाद में दिया गया HSN कोड है वो लागू हो जाएगा, वो अप्लीकेबल हो जाएगा इफ आई एम नॉट एबल टू फाइंड आउट द एग्जैक्ट रेट यूजिंग द अबव रूल्स. तो ये रूल क्या बोलता है? लेटर द बेटर. या GST एंड कस्टम्स आर एग्जैक्टली सेम रूल. सो टैरिफ इज एग्जैक्टली सेम ना, GST tariff and custom tariff is exactly same. So of course rules of interpretation will be exactly same. So what they say is, अगर मैं बाकी सारे रूल लगा के भी एम्बिग्विटी क्लियर नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ एंड आई एम कंफ्यूज बिटवीन दी टू हेडिंग्स, देन लेटर द बेटर. बाद वाली हेडिंग चूज कर लेने का है, बाद वाली हेडिंग चूज कर लेने का है, बाद वाला HSN कोड वाला रेट मुझे लेना पड़ेगा. देयर इज वन मोर रूल सेज दैट इफ आई एम नॉट फाइंडिंग माई कमोडिटी इन एनी ऑफ द हेडिंग, मेरी कमोडिटी किसी भी टैरिफ की किसी भी जगह में नहीं मिल रही है, मेरा जो प्रोडक्ट है वो कहीं भी क्लासिफाई नहीं हो पा रहा है, क्योंकि मैंने 1 से लेके 98 तक के सारे चैप्टर देख लिए, कहीं भी मेरा प्रोडक्ट नहीं आ पा रहा है, तो मैं क्या करूं? अकीन रूल. अकीन रूल बोलता है मेरा कमोडिटी अगर नहीं मिल रहा है तो मेरे से थोड़ा बहुत मिलता जुलता कमोडिटी का रेट लेना पड़ेगा. अगर मैं कुछ ऐसा इंपोर्ट कर रहा हूं जहां पे मेरी कमोडिटी कहीं भी टैरिफ में मेंशन नहीं है, तो मुझे मेरे जैसे कमोडिटी के सिमिलर कोई कमोडिटी है उसका रेट लेना पड़ेगा. सो दिस इज रूल नंबर 4 दैट सेज इफ माय कमोडिटी इज नॉट देन आई हैव टू गो फॉर सिमिलर. अकीन मीन्स सिमिलर. मेरी जैसी कमोडिटी दूसरी है, थोड़ी बहुत ऐसी कमोडिटी जो मेरी कमोडिटी से मिलती जुलती है, उसका रेट मुझे लेना पड़ेगा. दैट इज रूल नंबर 4. क्लियर? नाउ व्हाट रूल 5 सेज? Rule 5 says if I am importing something in a packing, मैं कुछ import कर रहा हूँ लेकिन मैं उसके साथ पैकिंग भी import कर रहा हूँ, तो बताओ पैकिंग के ऊपर क्या अलग रेट लगेगा कि पैकिंग के ऊपर मेरी कमोडिटी का रेट लगेगा? what should be the criteria, whether on the composite product पूरी पूरे पे कमोडिटी का रेट लगना चाहिए? yes. however ये क्लॉज नहीं लगेगा अगर पैकिंग ही उस कमोडिटी को एसेंशियल कैरेक्टर दे रही है. इफ पैकिंग इज मोर इंपॉर्टेंट देन द प्रोडक्ट, then on packing I will have to go for different rate. If packing is not that important, packing is not primary is the product, packing is secondary, then of course I will be going for product. I will be choosing the rate of product only. But for example, I am buying the product I am importing the product not for the product but for its packing. Like I have imported a guitar. वो गिटार इतना एक्सपेंसिव नहीं है लेकिन उसकी पैकिंग बहुत रेयर है. आई बॉट ए वॉच इतनी एक्सपेंसिव नहीं है लेकिन उसकी पैकिंग जो है वो बहुत रेयर है, लिमिटेड एडिशन पैकिंग है, इस कारण मैं उसमें एक्स्ट्रा पैसा दे रहा हूँ. तो अब मैं फिर ये नहीं बोल सकता कि वॉच का रेट पैकिंग पे लग जाएगा, क्योंकि यहाँ पे पैकिंग एसेंशियल कैरेक्टर दे रहा है तो पैकिंग का रेट अलग लगेगा और फिर अंदर वॉच है उसका रेट अलग लगेगा. वहाँ पे रूल अप्लाई नहीं होगा अगर पैकिंग ही एसेंशियल कैरेक्टर दे रही है तो. दैट इज गिवन इन रूल नंबर 5. These are the rules of interpretation. So how many rules we have? Rule 5. What these 5 rules says? पहला रूल बोलता है दिल को देखो चेहरा मत देखो, means don't just refer the title, look at the chapter notes, look at the heading, read the details of the chapter notes and the heading. सेकेंड क्या बोलता है? सेकेंड रूल बोलता है अगर कोई चीज़ इनकम्प्लीट भी है पर एसेंशियल कैरेक्टर हो चुका है तो उसे पूरी कमोडिटी मान लिया जाए, अनअसेंबल्ड को पूरा असेंबल्ड प्रोडक्ट की तरह ट्रीट कर लिया जाए. रूल 3 बोलता है स्पेशली और जनरली स्पेशल टैरिफ पहले फॉलो करो, जनरल टैरिफ बाद में फॉलो करो. रूल 3 भी बोलता है एसेंशियल कैरेक्टर प्रिंसिपल 2 या 3 चीज़ों का मिक्सचर है तो क्या एसेंशियल कैरेक्टर दे रहा है वो फॉलो करो. रूल 3 का सी पार्ट बोलता है अगर फिर भी एम्बिग्विटी क्लियर नहीं हो रही है लेटर द बेटर पे जाइए. रूल 4 बोलता है अगर वो कमोडिटी जो आप ढूंढ रहे हो वो मेरे टैरिफ में है ही नहीं तो गो फॉर द सिमिलर कमोडिटी. एंड अगर मैं कमोडिटी के साथ पैकिंग इंपोर्ट कर रहा हूं तो पैकिंग के ऊपर भी कमोडिटी का रेट लगना चाहिए, बट ये रूल नहीं लगेगा अगर कमोडिटी ही पैकिंग ही एसेंशियल कैरेक्टर दे रही है. These are the rules of the classification and this is about the custom tariff, this is about the HSN tariff. Is it clear to everyone? You don't have to remember the rule number because these will be asked in MCQ based question, so they will not ask you the exact rule number. Okay, so this is about the classification. अब एक चीज़ ये है कि आपको ड्रॉबैक खुद से पढ़ना पड़ेगा. एक टॉपिक मैं नहीं कवर कर पा रहा हूँ बट आई एम प्रोवाइडिंग द नोट्स ऑफ दिस टॉपिक. ओनली वन टॉपिक दैट इज ड्रॉबैक, बट आई हैव प्रोवाइडेड द हैंड रिटन नोट्स ऑफ द ड्रॉबैक टॉपिक. सो आई हैव प्रोवाइडेड द सेक्शन 74 विद द चार्ट्स इवन विद द कैलकुलेशन. सो ये टॉपिक आपको घर पे सेल्फ पढ़ना पड़ेगा बिकॉज ऑफ द लिमिटेशन ऑफ द टाइम. We have some limitation of the time. I have already extended for 15 minutes. Already बहुत late night हो चुका है. So this drawback topic is we have to you have to cover by your own. But what I can do is I am sharing these notes. Yeah, I am sharing the notes. So if you have any problem, you can WhatsApp me. I have already shared the phone number. I am again giving my phone number in the chat box. It's 9406858626. If you have any query, you can ask me. You can ask me on the WhatsApp. You can ask me on the WhatsApp. This is the link for the Google Drive for the notes. I have already uploaded the notes of drawback. Also, I have uploaded the customs MCQ as well. So we have total 10 hours in our 2 days discussion session. We are able to cover a lot of topics. And I hope आपको जितने topics मैंने cover किए, whatsoever the topic we have already covered, I hope you enjoyed the session. You are able to understand each and every topic. If you have any query, you can WhatsApp me on this number. I will help you even not only today. You can be in contact with me. You can also get in contact through Instagram. On Instagram, I am on. My ID is on the same name, Nikhil Gokhru. It's NIKHIL GOKHRU. So you can also follow me on Instagram, and you can also subscribe my channel on YouTube. Okay, thank you so much. You will get a lot of updates on YouTube as well. So thank you and stay connected. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you. Good day. Enjoy. Bye bye. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.